I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Would you help me?
I love it because that's like so.
It's like so like this. I know what I have to do.
It was a great impression.
No. No.
Oh, it wasn't a great impression. No, I'm sorry.
He's always yelling.
No.
More.
Blow that piece
Welcome
of junk.
back. What's up, YouTube and podcast listeners of other devices? Or other platforms. Well. Well, that needs to be Jeff Golden as the Emperor. Yes, well, I'm afraid your friend. The deflector shield.
Spooky lightning.
Welcome.
As if a million people clicked away.
That's always our goal. Is how long can we delay our actual intro? We just always start.
Well, it's not. It's not live yet, right?
No.
Well, no,
soon,
we'll do this. I mean
we'll
when
have
it starts.
We'll turn on the monitor and then we'll be able to.
Wait.
Oh, it's on. Welcome back to the Star Wars Guys podcast. We are we're happy that you guys are here. I think we're happy. Are we happy about it?
we're happy.
I'm happy about it.
We're happy.
Well, Bilber. Manto. Thank you for tuning in. We are your hosts as always. I am Mike. This is Nate, and you know him well, Uncle. He is the uncle you're looking for. Yes, everyone's uncle.
That's right.
Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. We got a fun episode. Thanks for all of you who watched the last episode. We did a podcast during the Oscars. We had our SWG, our Swaggy Award. Swaggy. Our Swaggy Award podcast.
And no Star Wars guys were injured in the making of that
That's
podcast.
true.
No, and I don't even get that reference because we podcasted.
Did you not hear what happened?
What happened?
Well, we missed it.
Wait, did something happen during the Oscars?
I think there was an incident.
No.
Who won?
Yeah.
Who lost? Who got snubbed? That's usually the worst thing that happened.
All I know is Coda won Best Picture. Yes.
Yeah.
That is nice. That's a big win.
Still need to see it.
It was like a slap in the face. It was like a slap in the face to the other.
It was like a
nominees.
slap in the
man.
face. I love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That joke will be used from now until at least next Oscars, if not longer. But yeah, we got a great episode today. Hopefully, I mean, we think it'll be great. It is
That's right.
different.
Yeah,
it's different. We've got. This is not your. This is not Whose Line Is It Anyway? Scenes from a Hat.
it's not.
No.
This is topics from a helmet.
From a helmet.
Right.
So we will be pulling. We'll be writing down some
Yeah.
Star Wars guys, some Star Wars topics that we each came up with a few that we're going to be writing down.
Yeah.
Pulling some out of the helmet, and we will discuss and have some good discussions. So I like this because we don't really know what any of us have.
I don't even know what I'm gonna put in there yet.
And that's
No.
sometimes the best. Most of the time when we hit record and we all go, "Are we ready?" We go, "Yep." And then it goes 3, 2, 1. Wait, what's the episode about?
What are we
and
talking
we're
about?
live.
And we're live.
And we're off the rails.
So I'm excited about it. This will be fun.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
That's why we take so long to do our intro. We're really just stalling.
We're
to come up
stalling
with
as we
ideas for
figure out what the
podcast.
episode
Yeah,
is.
really.
That would be
Okay.
great if each time we're like looking and we're like, so yeah, as you guys can tell, we're doing a whole solo episode today. And we just look at something like the helmets there.
And
We're
the,
doing actually scenes from a helmet. We're doing all this. This is all improv.
We've had to come a little bit more prepared because Nate's been doing these awesome thumbnails before the
That's
No, I
true.
need to
the lives.
have
It's
to-
like, what are we talking about? We got all this
I was like,
pressure
wait,
to
I need
plan
somewhat
now.
of an
Let's
idea
put a little
of
more
what we're
pressure
gonna
on us.
Discuss.
It's been good. Yeah, it's been good. It gives us just enough that we're like, let's do this type of an episode tonight, and then we'll
Right.
figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we
Great.
jumping in? Here's what we're gonna do.
Jump in.
Yeah,
So
let's jump in.
we've got
Force jump our way in there.
some blank pieces of paper here,
Yeah.
and we've got a Vader helmet. We're gonna each write down what, 3 or 4,
Sure.
5, 9.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna put them in there, and then we're gonna draw one out, and we're gonna talk about that until it's boring,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
or until everybody stops watching. Whichever
That's
happens
right.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
We
gonna
might
be
have
fun.
stuff to talk about.
I
And
like
that's-
it. So
and
this
that's
could be
it.
all across the map.
So
I
we go
like it.
anywhere.
Yeah. Do we want to write some down?
Yeah, let's write some
Let's
down.
do it. I've got some in mind. Maybe.
You do? I haven't even thought of anything.
I've got maybe.
It's my idea, and I have
like
no
this.
idea.
This will be
what
all.
I'm
This will be all over the map. Jocasta Nu couldn't find it. If it's not in the archives, it does not exist.
Is this our thinking music? Oh, this is great. All right. I've got a couple here.
Now, you want to pass me a couple of those too? This is also great too. There's nothing people like to see more than us
Yeah.
take a standardized test live on the air. We need our folders.
For those watching, we're coming up with
This will be quick.
podcast ideas,
Hopefully.
topic ideas right now, live with you all. So here we go.
got some here.
Uh-oh.
It'd be funny as if we all come up with the same stuff. That would be hilarious. All right. Like, couldn't you guys have done this ahead of time?
I know. We thought no because we wanted to do it with you all. And they're like, that was a terrible idea. All right. I'm curious to see what you guys come up with.
I just love that everyone's watching us write down stuff.
Got two.
All right. What we should do is get a couple here, throw them in the hat while we're talking. If we come up with another one, we can add more. We can add more.
I'm gonna write one more real quick. I've got just one so far.
I'm gonna take a couple of these, so in case I think of any while we're. And chat, participate too. If you guys want a topic idea for us to throw in the hat, drop it in chat, and we'll throw it in the hat. And whenever it comes up,
Drop it in chat. Throw it in the hat.
I like it.
In the helmet.
that's right. In the helmet, yeah.
In the helmet. I had written down a couple things.
All right.
I gotta check real quick.
I had to scribble because I was writing with one hand.
All right.
I've got one
Vader
here.
helmet. Let's do it. Got our ideas. A handful of them. Oh. Throw them in. Drop them in. I love that. We got the Vader mask.
This is Final Jeopardy.
The Vader mask. And then randomly draw. And that will be
Randomly
the first
draw.
topic of discussion.
That will be what we talk about.
This is what we'll do every week.
How many-
we
how many
we
did you
draw one. That's
I
the
put
next
2 in.
podcast.
Okay, here's I got two.
I put 2 in. And if I come up with more, I'll. Oh, am I the
You
draw?
want to draw one?
Do it.
Do it. Execute.
Do it.
Draw from helmet.
Okay.
Oh gosh, this one's mine. I don't like that. It's rigged.
Oh, man. It's all right.
Wait,
All right.
if it's yours, should you put it back and grab a new one?
No, you know what? That's okay.
Oh, that was.
He said no.
Yeah, okay.
That's
okay.
probably-
All right,
That's
this one doesn't
probably
have to
a
be
good
super long, but I'd like to touch on
Probably a
it.
good one.
All right,
Talk
let's
about
do
it
it.
a little bit. Star Wars video games.
Oh, okay.
We had talked a little bit about this before.
All right.
This could be just stuff that we played. It
Yeah.
could be really any. I just thought anything.
Yeah.
Because it made me think the new
Lego.
Lego Star Wars. I
Yeah.
posted a couple shorts. Right, we've posted some
Mhm.
stuff on our channel, trailer reaction stuff.
You had a good
Comes
trailer
out.
reaction with the robes on.
Yeah, with the robes on. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good. And
You did one with robes off, too, but we can't put that on the internet.
yeah.
It's beyond
Oh.
the paywall.
Beyond the bill.
That's not the content you were looking for.
So that's what you get if you subscribe.
Oh, no.
Those are promises we are not keeping.
With that coming out this week.
Is
This
it? Yeah.
week?
Is
Yeah.
it this
So this week it made me think of stuff. I know we've talked a little bit about some, Knights of the Republic,
Yeah.
Fallen Order. I know you
Yeah.
played some Fallen Order. What's our favorite? Which ones
Battlefront.
you liked?
Oh,
Battlefront,
1
Pod
and
Race.
2.
yeah. So we.
Episode 1,
Oh,
Pod
Pod
Racer.
Race.
Pod
Oh,
Race
man.
is so great.
So good.
How
And
about,
it's got the
uh,
greatest sounds in all of Star Wars.
It does.
Now, I don't remember if you played. I know Matt and I played the old Rogue Squadron back in
Rogue
the day. It was
Squadron,
so.
Well, I can
so
take you
fun.
back to the
That's the
to
LucasArts.
the day.
LucasArts.
yeah.
stuff.
Playing TIE Fighter and Dark
Oh,
Forces.
yeah.
Dark Forces.
Our
yeah.
Force is great.
On a Commodore 64. Dark
Uh-huh.
Forces was like
Yeah.
crazy good.
You know what I played the other day? This like last week. Star Wars pinball machine.
Oh, yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I'd never seen this before. It's not every day I'm using a pinball machine.
Wait, so you went somewhere and they had a
it
Star
on
Wars?
the
Went to this
iPad?
social place with Joe. You guys know Joe.
I played a
He's
Star Wars
J-Man.
pinball machine lately too. Actually,
And
Really?
fun. It's
probably the same one.
I actually saw a
was it at
Mando-
Pieces? Maybe.
Wait, you went to Pieces?
No.
Oh,
But I know they have it.
I don't think
they have it there too.
fall
oh,
to pieces.
But it had like had stories. Like you hit a certain thing and then the game stops.
yeah, yeah.
And then you channel through. You can do like pick your storyline, and then it's like,
Oh, man.
do you want to jump in the trench? And then you jump and you got to hit certain things. I was like, this is the craziest pinball machine I've ever seen. It was great.
It was great. For my birthday, I think it was last year. One of the things we did is Abigail and I met up with my wife, Abigail. We met with her parents and her brothers, and her parents took us to this cool kind of like diner, cafe place downtown, but they went there specifically because there was a Star Wars pinball machine, and they gave me like $20 or something to just sit there and play.
Oh man!
And it was great because like the rest of them like went around and played games, and they're like, Mike, we'll see you in a bit. Like just do your thing, and because I knew this was just going to be.
so
I just sat there the whole
great.
time and just
Kept
put in
playing.
like 21s
That's
in a row.
awesome.
And just kept playing, and it was like that too. Whereas I was really impressed. I also hadn't played pinball in a long time, and I was
Yeah.
like, this was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It was great.
Right.
that's awesome.
So any of you out there who, because you know some people ask sometimes online of, do you guys have a PO box or something you can send you? If you want to mail us a Star Wars pinball machine, we'll add it to. we add it right here, and we just start playing it right in front of the camera.
Podcast starts. We're just like,
We're gonna do a live
just a
stream
minute.
of
He's about to beat it.
live stream us playing Star Wars.
oh, that would be awesome.
That's a small gift you can give us as a.
So
But-
what was the first Star Wars video game? Do you guys know?
Do you know? Is that what you're asking?
I don't know. I
you would probably know better than us.
probably played
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
have
I
no
remember
idea.
playing like it was. Yeah, I remember playing it would have been the 90s. The TIE Fighter game was like the oldest game I
TIE
remember.
Fighter, yeah.
But they had the Star Wars game in the arcade. Remember this one?
Yeah.
Star Wars game in the arcade. That's probably the
That's
oldest
how a lot
one.
of because people forget now, and again, obviously I wasn't around. I was born in '91, but people forget now that there's everything's so in your home video games type stuff,
Yeah.
but that a lot of these types of games
They were
was
just
like you got to go to the arcade
That's right.
Yeah.
to play it. That's the reason why if anyone watches stuff from the 80s or like Stranger Things or anything like that,
Yeah.
the kids meeting up after school at the arcade was such a huge thing because
They
you
don't have games.
you
at
don't
home.
have that at your house.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was my childhood.
Till-
Pinball Rally on Route 4 in
There you go.
Fairfield, Ohio. That was the place, man.
Yeah.
Then you had Pong and you got everything
Man.
coming
Yeah. I mean, I
along.
remember us diving
It's great.
into just the Nintendo 64. One of the and
64,
we were playing
Sega,
Pod
playing
Race,
Sega.
Episode 1, Pod,
Dreamcast.
or
Remember
Episode
that.
1 Racer, I guess is what
remember
it's
that.
called. Such a
That
good game.
that pod racing game was fun. Matt and I used to rent Rogue Squadron over and over and over from Blockbuster, R.I.P. Blockbuster.
Yeah.
But we used to rent the game and you just would play it nonstop. It was just especially at the time, it was just a simple game but like the actual being in the cockpit of flying one of
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things was just awesome.
I
It was so
remember
fun.
we even played Empire Strikes Back on Game Boy.
Yes.
Oh, we still
Original
got
Game
that.
Boy.
I got that in my house right now.
I
Original
remember
Game
that.
Boy, Empire Strikes Back. We're going on
You're on a-
vacations or something, and I'm playing Empire
Yep.
Strikes Back.
You're on a
Awesome.
tauntaun and you got to go through like the
Tauntaun,
ice
yeah.
and jump over the.
Yeah.
I also have Indiana Jones. It may have been Last Crusade, or maybe it's Raiders. Maybe the Raiders game. So fun. It's
Yeah.
like it's the Game Boy, and you just like you use
So
the
good.
whip and and it's like a snake comes up and like hit it and it
Yeah.
goes away and
Yeah.
It's crazy, though,
That's
thinking
awesome.
how far some of these have come. Like, more current, the Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh man,
Graphics and everything. It's
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
It's crazy.
and we
The
saw Cal.
mechanics of the game. We're
Didn't we
getting
see-
now some of that's translating to the shows.
Yeah.
Didn't we see Cal's lightsabers at Galaxy's Edge
Just
now?
got launched at Galaxy's Edge.
Hmm.
It was the fan voted, so Disney put out a poll and said,
Wow,
"Here's all these lightsabers we're considering putting in.
man.
All of you guys can go vote. Whichever wins, that's the saber we're gonna add to Galaxy's Edge." And
Wow.
Cal Kestis won the video game.
Wow.
Not
That tells you
something
something.
from
I say
Rebels
Fallen
or
Order. I
whatever.
think was pretty universally loved. Pretty
It
much.
was, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
The story, because
That's
like,
great.
I mean, you played it.
Yeah.
I couldn't put it down because I liked the story so
Right.
much. It was like watching a movie. You're just like, what happens next?
It was.
Yeah.
So cool.
So
That's
good.
awesome.
But yeah,
Right.
and then I know Lego Star Wars is coming out, which looks great. So we'll have to do that on
And
the
Fallen
channel.
Order sequel is sometime down the road,
Yep,
right? Just
that's
kind of
that,
the video games. People don't realize video games take a long time. Like even again, I don't even know if it's gonna end up happening now because there was some other stuff. But like that trailer we saw a while back for that Star Wars Eclipse game was like announced of like it'll begin developing and should come out sometime in
2025
or like even later. It was like 2026 or 27. I'm
Yeah.
like, holy cow. Takes
Yeah.
a long animation stuff takes a long time.
Yeah.
That just
It's
even
making
like
a movie.
I know when they were doing like Star Wars Rebels, they would talk about how they'd be like multiple years in advance of like working on the stuff to
crazy.
get it out. Which
you guys
also
ever
makes you
play-
think maybe there's some things they've already got
Yeah.
that they haven't even
Probably.
announced yet that are a whole season.
There's a bunch
are
of
done.
games in
coming.
development. I know that.
Yeah.
With other companies too.
Right. Did you
Yeah.
guys ever play that Star Wars? I forget what it's called. It was a World of Warcraft Star Wars version.
I don't-
Empires or something like that.
Oh.
Empire.
I think I've heard of it.
It was a.
It sounds so familiar. I think
It was.
so.
It was a long. It was. It didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I think there was some game mechanic stuff, or but it was a massive multiplayer.
There was
Yeah.
that
Star Wars
reminds me
thing.
too. There was a game. Did you ever play Age of Empires?
Yeah.
Oh, Age of Empires
There was a
is
Star
great.
Wars version of Age of Empires.
There
also,
was.
and I played that a bunch. I played
Age of
It
Empires is a
was.
classic.
I can't
What's
remember what
that?
it's called, but it was a PC game. It's like Age of Empires, but it
Yes.
was Star Wars.
Age of Empires was a phenomenal
Great
game.
So good. Yeah.
That's
there you go.
awesome.
We
That's
could.
great.
We could talk about board games another time.
Oh man,
Ooh.
That's
that's
another-
true.
another
Yes,
topic.
we could. We've got
True.
Got
a
a few.
number of. I was talking. This is a
Star
little
Wars.
tangent, but we're talking about Abigail and I are both simultaneously reading Lord of the Rings right now, going through the Fellowship, and she's never read them,
Mm-hmm.
and I have, but it's been years since I've read them, and
Mhm.
I know the movies by heart because I've seen them 100 times. But she's only seen the movies like once or twice ever, and it's been years. So
Yeah.
she's reading them for the first time, and being like, "What? This happens?"
Discovering all
They
this
leave
stuff.
Bill the Pony before they go. She was
Yeah.
shocked that they left Bill the Pony before they went to the Mines of Moria. That they're just like, "Well, you've done a good job, Bill. See ya." And they like send him off,
Let
and
him
she's
go.
like, Bill." I'm like, "Well,
He finds his
if
way
you would
home.
have played our Lord of the Rings Monopoly game, you would have known that Bill the Pony is one of the railroads.
That's
So
right.
he will live in.
Ooh.
He lives somewhere.
He got traded.
But yeah, but it was funny because we were talking about just the amount of board games we have, and I was like, between the amount of Star Wars board games, I mean, I have different. I don't know how many different Star Wars Monopoly games I have. Stratego, yeah,
Oh yeah.
and there's also
Trivial
like the
Pursuit.
old role playing games and stuff.
Star
we
Wars.
used to have.
Isn't there? We have a Star Wars Risk, maybe.
We definitely have. It might be a Star Wars
I don't
Risk.
know.
There's definitely Lord of the Rings
Lord of the
Risk.
Rings,
Obviously,
we've
we
got
have our
Monopoly, yeah.
Outer Rim.
Outer Rim.
Outer
That's a whole
Rim.
different type of a game.
That's
Love
one,
it.
of the
One
greatest
night we'll
board
just
games ever.
live stream Outer Rim.
Could we do that? Could that be part of our 24-hour
24-hour
podcast on
May 4th.
And that would. What's great is
May
that would take
4th.
up 12 or 24 hours.
12
Just
of
play,
them.
let's play Outer Rim one time.
It's a long game,
It's a long game. It's so fun.
but it's fun.
But it's
It's like, do we play Outer Rim? Do we watch Lord of the Rings? It's about the same. It's about the same time.
I remember watch all the Lord of the Rings extended versions. Well,
No, Outer Rim is so good. Though.
we'll watch.
That's a
Lord of the Rings
commitment,
sometime.
man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So
Video
what's
games.
the must-play game? Let's say you're on your console. What's the must-play? If they got to pick one, what do you put them on?
Man.
Right
As far
now.
as the combat fun,
Like
I
currently,
love,
or just like at
Current-
any time? What was your favorite?
Currently, right now, people are like, "Oh, I like to play a Star Wars game. One.
I
What
love
should
Battle.
I get? What should I play?
I think Battlefront's fun.
Battlefront.
love
So good.
Battlefront, especially some of the early Battlefront games of like playing on Camino in the
Yeah,
rain, and you're
right.
either the light
Selecting
side
your
or the dark
character.
side.
Yep.
And it's that's a game that, especially because I'm a big fan and I was a huge fan of N64 like GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Love
Oh my
GoldenEye.
gosh.
Oh
Love
yeah.
the one
shooter.
first person
Yeah,
shooter
it's awesome.
games,
Right.
and doing that in the Star Wars universe essentially.
Awesome.
And the story parts of it are like fun too when you're
Yeah.
trying to do like.
There's
like,
also
the
cool
campaigns
seeing the
and
different.
stuff.
Like you go to the Jedi Temple, you're like, we didn't really see a lot of this area.
But
This,
now
like,
we
That's what I was
can
gonna
explore
say.
all
Is
that.
we also had an old like Episode 3 lightsaber game, which was very fun.
Yeah.
I quote this Episode 3
All
game
the
a
time.
while on here because if you guys remember, they have alternate lines. For some reason, they changed some of the lines at the very end, and there's actually an alternate ending where
There's
there's
an
It's,
alternate ending.
My
an alternate ending.
master.
If you pull up on YouTube right now and just type in Episode 3 alternate ending, you will get the video game version of it, and it's hilarious. But
so great.
I think Anakin kills. I think it ends with Anakin kills the Emperor right there. On
Yeah, it
Mustafar.
does.
And he's like, "Only I will rule," and start and like, I'm like, oh, okay. Well,
Wow.
defies the rule of two, but okay.
Different.
Yeah.
But the strange line change of
Is that my master?
when he's talking about
one of them.
It seemed like the developers of the game were just like, let's do the story, but then let's also share how we wish it would have happened.
Yeah, let's fix
and
it.
it can just.
I always remember the way he
retcon
says
them all. Yeah.
the way he says you underestimate the power of the dark side, or he says something.
You underestimate.
He goes, "You underestimate the power of the dark side." I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
But
okay.
then he's talking to him, and he talks about, "I will do what I must." He says, You will try, my master. You don't have to be formal in this.
Why-
Nate.
why-
You're about to- he literally said, "I will kill you, Anakin, if you try to come
You'll
after me.
try.
Not if I kill you first, if that's okay.
My
If
master.
that's my
My
master. Like, I still want to. It's not your master
So
anymore.
good.
You pledge allegiance. You're Darth Vader.
Oh, that's so good.
But I just always
That's
love
so
that. But
funny.
I want to know who was like. Let's add up my master.
I think you said
That's
my
great.
master. Really?
Yeah.
Put
let's
it
do
in there.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Yeah.
Should we double check
Positive.
this? I'm pretty confident.
good.
How confident?
That's great.
51%. All right, good enough for me.
We're good.
Love it. Do you have a go-to
That's
that's
great.
like your? If you had to play one,
Currently, Battlefront 2 is always a
Battlefront's-
quick
oh,
go-to because
so fun.
it's an easy entrance. Like I played through the solo mission thing.
Oh
Love it.
yeah, that's true.
But I'll go down there with Eli and we'll just pop into a dual
That's the thing.
a
is
co-op
the
thing.
co-op
Yeah.
stuff is so
and
fun.
Pick a guy and you're slashing with Maul. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It is sweet.
Co-
And
Co-op
then you
stuff is
play
so
for 10
fun.
minutes and you can just stop.
Yeah.
That's the
You
thing
get
of-
different characters. You unlock
Choose
different
different-
skins, like different
Yeah.
outfits and stuff.
That
It's cool.
game's been out a while. I don't know if they're going to do another one, but it was.
Don't
it was
believe they
great.
plan on it.
It was
At least
great.
as of
Yeah.
now, but
That's
That's great.
those are fun that you can do without. While the other games are great, the big campaign games, big story
Yeah.
games, Fallen Order, those types of things. A lot of times, if you're going to dive in, you're like, I need to clear the next couple hours because I'm going
Yeah.
to really dive in and
can't-
try to make progress here.
Right.
Versus, like you said, you and Eli
I'll hop
sit
on
down
for
and
a
be
game.
like, oh, we'll play a couple
Jump in
rounds
and
here.
play
And this
it.
will be
Yeah.
fun.
I know they've got my favorite game of all time, Knights of the Old Republic. They've
Ooh,
got a
we didn't even
remake
mention
coming.
Knights
I've
of the
heard
Republic.
that. Yeah.
They've
I
got a
remember I
remake
played that
coming,
game.
and I'm hoping it's like an actual remake and not like a remastered version.
Yeah, an HD version. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope it's not like just remastered where it's just updated
Mhm.
and looks better and stuff. That it's actually like similar story maybe, or maybe it's a new story but following those characters or
Yeah.
something. But an actual
Old
new
Republic
game.
stuff is
It's great.
could get to
So
it in
good.
some other topics
I
possibly.
mean, it's inspired already a lot of stuff we're seeing.
It's
I got a quick
it's
question.
interesting.
Before we move on, if you
Yeah.
could, if there was a Star Wars video game that you wish would have been,
Ooh,
what would you like to see?
Would you say that wish would have been?
Yeah. What
I've
area?
got 2 ideas.
I knew it. I thought you gotta have something.
Jake and I have talked about this a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, sorry, I was coughing a little bit. You
A
said
video
that
game
you'd like
that
to-
you would wish to see.
Oh, wish to see.
Yeah.
A genre, a setting, characters, storyline.
I know Nate's.
I'll take it if anybody.
Yeah,
Nate,
go ahead.
Nate
wants to
said
know.
Nate's. I can tell. I'll speak for Nate real quick because that's fair.
Yeah. Speak for
Nate's in Nate's dream game. He wakes up. He's Dr. Pershing. He puts on his cloning little white shirt. He goes down to his lab, and Nate does a whole. It's just all Nate's
all
whole
it
game
is.
would be like test tubes.
Star
and
Wars
just-
Sims, and he's just cloning. That's all it
Or
is.
Sims, and that's my job.
Every day,
Just
"We-
clone it.
It's just-
and you're just cloning all day. Well, would be awesome.
I'm just kidding.
That's so great.
Which cloning is awesome. We give Nate
Hey, that
trouble
could
for,
be a good
for the
game.
cloning stuff.
Talk-
A fun
Talk
cloning
about
game.
grinding it out in a game. What did you do today? I was cloning all day.
So would you
Coding? No.
No,
Cloning.
cloning.
cloning? So what's the next level? It's just like we just make more of
the
those
same.
guys.
It's
Just make more of the
repeat it.
exact same
Clone
guy.
it.
The Emperor's riding me pretty hard to get out 10 more by next Tuesday.
What are you doing? Well, I got a meeting with yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin here in about 20 minutes. Palpatine had to get pushed back, but
And then Palpatine pops up in the corner. Make me 10 more. You're
10
like, oh,
more.
crud. You got to keep making clones.
Make more of me now.
so great. No, I just think cloning.
Cloning game would be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be different.
Well,
Or would it be the not different at all because they're clones?
That would be
yeah.
awful.
I just think with the
Talk about monotonous.
The worst idea for the game.
We could do that. Worst video game idea.
so great. Worst.
All you are is the guy who, in every death scene, you're that guy. That's the game.
That's it.
You're Mace Windu for a second. Then they cut and you're Palpatine.
What if we took your idea for
Sorry, you had a good one.
Star Wars shorts,
Yeah.
like the little like episodes, but
Connections?
That was the game connections.
Yeah.
Connect all those different moments.
That'd be cool.
Plug my thing in. So I think just with the way games are going right now, there's just so many open world games. I think I would love a Star
Oh,
Wars
yeah.
open world game. You can, and some of that like with
would be
Knights
cool.
or with the Old Republic, the online game that we got now. It's kind of like that.
Mhm.
You know, you can. It's open world. I mean, it's MMO, but a console game, updated, really good graphics, kind of like a Skyrim or like what this new game that came out everyone's freaking out about is this Elden Ring game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but a Star Wars version where you can start as a different character, whether you're a Jedi or a smuggler, but actually go, and every choice you make affects your story.
Man,
Be cool.
what if it was like No Man's Sky Star Wars?
I thought you were gonna say that.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, you were
would be
playing that for
sweet.
yeah.
I mean, they got a lot of Star Wars influence, but just full on everything is
Yeah.
the ships, the.
And you could just go. You go to
Collecting
anywhere,
credits.
When you go to a place, you're going to a.
Yeah. You go to Corellia. You go to.
And what if at some point you could join either the Empire or
Yeah.
Rebellion? And
But it would be like all the planets are not like you don't know them.
Wait a
Yeah.
second.
It's Star Wars, but you don't know the planet.
I
Like you
got an
discover
idea.
new planets,
Yeah.
just like
I got an idea here.
Yeah.
It's like the sports games with the your My Player mode, and it's like you've got your college athlete,
Yeah.
and he gets drafted, and he does this, but it's like your career mode is what they would call it, or anything like that. But you do that, and you're you're like a
Moisture
teen.
farmer.
Yeah. You're a teen somewhere, and it's like you have to make these different choices that take you into the. And then let's say you join the Empire, and that's like, well, now I gotta complete these missions to get up the ranks, and I try
Yeah.
to become a Moff and a Grand Moff and all this stuff.
Man.
But then hopefully at the end you just betray the Empire.
Yeah, right.
But we don't want to encourage.
Yeah.
I guess
just
the,
betray
the,
them at
the
the end.
tricky part there is what it actually takes to become a Grand Moff in a video game form. Like, great, you need to blow up
You're
this.
just
You need to
creating
kill
Blow up
evil
these
kids.
farmers. You need to blow up these farmers, these innocent people,
Right.
and steal their
Wow.
children. And if you do that, you'll advance in the game. We're like, well, that might be
Rated
more.
T for teen.
That might be more
Right.
troublesome than people
Man.
being upset about like shooting in games. So that we're literally teaching you that the
Mass
way to do this
destruction
is
is the
just
path to
is
success.
complete corruption,
Chaos.
yeah, complete chaos. This isn't a fun combat game. This is go lie to this family and steal their
Oh.
children, and you'll advance. Like, oh, well, that might
My
go
only
well.
my only other idea was there's a huge push right now with like the big games are like these battle royale games.
Mhm.
So if there was a Star Wars battle royale, that'd be cool. I
Oh,
don't know the
man.
logistics of how they'd be able to do it with incorporating like a Battlefront style.
I tried to
where
make
it's like
that with Battlefront. I think,
where
for a while.
there's like Jedi, but also regular scout troopers and stuff. So I don't know how it would work, but a Star Wars battle royale game would be sweet.
Yeah.
What about Uncle? Did you ever play Pokemon Snap?
Which one was that?
So Pokemon Snap was a. Do you remember this game?
This is a great game.
Was
Yeah, I think I know
was it
I think- I think
GameCube,
I remember.
N64?
I think I
They
remember.
just came out with a new one.
It was actually
New Pokemon Snap. That's what it's
awesome. One of the best video. It was so much fun.
That's the picture one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you got a good picture of
Yes.
Mew or something in the wild, it was worth so many points. It was like essentially
called. Yeah.
you're like I think of it as like the people who are trying to take pictures of Spider-Man. Like it's so hard to get pictures of him.
Yeah.
But it was such a fun game. Like our
This is
dad
what-
says it's
I know
his
what you're talking
favorite.
about.
I think he said it's his favorite video game he's ever played. Is Pokemon Snap, which is
We
hilarious.
talk about the
Hilarious.
pitch meeting for that. So here's what it is, right? So there's Pokemon all over, and you have to go take pictures of them.
You're like, why?
The kids are gonna love
They're
it.
gonna love it. So basically, we're paparazzi for these Pokemon. That's it. Harass
That's
these
it.
Pokemon. They're
I've
in
heard
the
it's
wild.
great.
You can play
It
the
actually
flute.
is-
Does
You
it-
can play the flute to make them
That's-
sing and dance.
Oh.
Or you can chuck rocks.
And if
at
it's a
'em.
good picture, you get more points. If it's a bad picture,
That picture.
you get lower
No
points.
point.
That's a classic. That's our
Back to
version
the
of the Back to
Future.
the Future pitch right,
Right.
there. If the pitch sounds horrible, the
Movie's
movie's
great.
great.
Right.
Movie's great. Pitch is horrible. Makes no sense. Don't know how it got greenlit. Glad it did because it was a home run. But I was saying, you do a Star Wars version of Pokemon Snap, which is
That's great.
was that
Ooh.
Qui-Gon?
Oh, that'd be great.
You get someone out in the.
Yeah, awesome.
Is that
Particular
Ahsoka?
ship?
She's like just Bigfoot out in the woods because she's just always running away and stuff. You're trying to.
So
Mace.
great.
Mace is always just mad. You get Mace's like his little scowling at the camera, and that's
So
more
great.
points. That'd be great.
So good.
Or
Yeah.
it's like, is that Sidious? Do we get under the hood? Can we find out who it is?
Sidious.
A million points and then killed.
No, it's just a
Then
guy
you
in a
get killed.
robe.
Yeah, then killed.
No cameras. He just
man.
slicing them down.
But yeah, I know there's some new ones that are announced. They've got, I think there's supposed to be an open world game that's coming out
Oh man, that'd be cool.
by, I can't remember, maybe Ubisoft or something. Ubisoft? I
Ooh.
don't know.
I
maybe.
know,
I
I
don't
know
know.
them from the. Well, they make a ton of games, but yeah.
I can't remember.
Assassin's
that
Creed
could
was
be
there.
wrong. Oh,
Assassin's
wait, I think
Creed,
maybe
yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
Assassin-
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it is Ubisoft.
They're good.
One of them is supposed to be making apparently an open world game. I think for Star
Cool.
Wars.
That'd be
So
fun.
We'll see.
Can't wait.
But yeah.
All right.
Next topic.
Next topic.
Let's
Should
do
Wanna
it.
Go for it, Uncle.
Do it. Oh, I didn't pick mine.
Is it a lot of stuff crossed out? Because if so, that's mine.
Although.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Things we want to see at Star Wars Celebration.
Ooh. that's
yeah.
a
So
good
to
one.
elaborate,
This is yours.
this was mine. But to elaborate, my thought for this was not like, oh, I want to see
Kathy
Kennedy and shake her hand.
Which
but
we do want.
which do want that. But what projects, developments, that type of thing of like this Star Wars
Announcements.
Celebration
Yeah,
announcements.
It does say
And
announcements.
it could be
announcements in
What's
parentheses.
the date again?
25th,
It's-
24th.
I was to say it's the same week, that same weekend that Obi-Wan is now pushed back
Right.
to. So I believe it's like that. I think it starts
Yeah.
that Friday, maybe the
20-something, yeah.
2
27th.
episodes now too.
Yeah.
2 episodes, yeah. Instead of
Wait, so it's the week
Wednesdays,
before?
Friday.
Or you're saying
No, that week, because it was initially going to be that Obi-Wan would be on Wednesday. That weekend is Star Wars Celebration. And so people were saying, oh, it'll be fun because they'll have already released the first episode. They'll probably get a panel where like Ewan and Hayden and all of them are able to talk about. We can't say too much, but now you've seen the first episode. We
Right.
can actually talk about this a little
Now
bit
they
more.
can just screen it.
And now they might screen it
Yeah,
there.
it's right there.
I think they would
watch it.
probably do that. I'm
Cool idea.
sure they will.
Yeah.
Not that obviously we'll be able to watch it at home as well, but I'm sure
Right.
they'll
they
do
just
some
pull
sort
up
of
someone's Kathy's Disney Plus account.
What's awesome?
thing. What's that password again? And just
What's-
forgets.
Obi-Wan.
Or Kathy has to in front of everyone download Disney Plus and like subscribe. She's like, crap,
Give me a
I don't have
second.
it. I don't have it. I don't have it.
Pull it up just straight off Disney
That'd be
Plus.
fun.
Shows her password. K-Rock is the coolest.
K-Rock is-
Is that your? Yeah. It's from my
I
kids.
love George.
it's yeah. I love George. Ryan was great to work with. It's just-
Ryan greater than JJ. Ryan greater than JJ.
hilarious. But yeah, so what I was thinking about this was like thoughts of new movie possible announcements
Yeah.
because we haven't had any. We've had the back and
No
forth of whether
updates.
Rogue
Yeah.
One
Big
is gonna or
one.
Rogue Squadron is gonna happen, but
Yeah.
no updates.
would we want to see an announcement of a movie, trilogy,
I think we might
a
get
series, an animated show,
maybe Bad
or-
Batch.
or footage? Or I was thinking like a trailer for Andor, or
Trailer for
those
something
type of
coming.
things.
Oh,
Trailer for
man.
Andor.
Ahsoka
I
trailer.
think we
something
might
like that.
get a.
A little tease of Mando season 3. I don't know.
I think we might get an announcement for the next
Movie next film.
the next movie. Like not Rogue Squadron, like
Yeah, you mean of what? 'cause
whether
they-
it's a
'cause
new
they clearly-
trilogy or something, a new movie we haven't heard about yet.
Let's
Yeah.
let's face it.
Whether
even-
it's High Republic, Old
You
Republic.
think that's you're gonna announce a new movie?
I think they'll announce a new movie.
Wow.
It's. I hope that what I hope is with whatever movie they announce, if they do announce a new movie, is
Episode
that
11.
it's like, here is it, and here's the maybe they can't come out and talk about it, but maybe they walk out on stage, kind of like Ewan McGregor did. Like a couple years ago now, and was like, Ewan, are you going to be playing Obi-Wan again? Yes. And like,
Yeah.
he's here in person. We're confirming this
So
is
they
not a
ma-
rumor.
Daisy.
Yeah.
But I was going to say that we could put a name.
Oscar.
I'm waiting for my sequel.
Are
For my
you-
sequel.
Are you playing Ray again?
Yes.
And it's Ray Skywalker.
Skywalker, actually.
So what I would like is if they make an announcement about that they also definitively announce, here's our plan for the release, as far as even if
Yeah.
it's ways off. Here's our plan for it. Here
Yeah.
are the people attached to it, and they probably don't have like a cast or
Ooh.
anything like that yet. I wouldn't imagine. But something that's more than just like, hey, our next Star Wars movie is gonna come out in 2025. Because I think people are like, great, is that the Kevin
Yeah.
Feige thing that he was attached to, or Taika Waititi? Like maybe there's an announcement on Taika.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe one of the directors or Kevin Feige.
Maybe we get a Rogue Squadron little. I don't think she started filming yet, especially back and forth stuff. But maybe even just like an announcement of the cast, like something like that. That's like, here's positive
I
development.
think we're getting a new movie
with the film.
And maybe it's for one of those guys that are maybe it's one of the directors they've already announced, but actually telling what the project will
coming
be.
up.
Taika's crushing it. I mean,
Taika is bigger than ever.
Mm-hmm.
the interesting thing with Taika is too of how
Hey,
will
boys.
what will his vibe be like
yeah.
in because we've seen Taika's very distinct. He has a very distinct tone. Like his
Yeah,
feel of
yeah.
a movie is okay. You can tell that's
Right.
an example. Even though I think the episode's fantastic. If you rewatch Chapter 8 of Mandalorian,
Mhm.
such a Taika move of having
Yeah.
the stormtroopers like punching Baby Yoda and that type of a thing.
Yeah.
And it played off great. One of them's Jason Sudeikis.
No.
But it is
It's
a
him.
different. It's a different feel than a Bryce Dallas
He's
Howard
It is.
or
Baby
something like
Yoda.
that. So seeing him have control over a film, it'd be just interesting to see what a Taika, Star Wars film would actually just feel like. Like what would it actually? What
Would it
makes
feel?
Taika,
Yeah.
but what also stays
Fit into
Star
that
Wars?
universe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know. You know any
It's
thoughts
good.
of?
Could they announce a video game?
Maybe
Totally
they do.
could.
Maybe they show some stuff
I
for the remake, Old
Maybe.
Republic remake that
Maybe.
they've already announced, but maybe they show some.
I mean,
actual-
if you just go back to the history of Celebration, they usually make, especially because they didn't make a ton of announcements. They didn't make any announcements hardly at that Disney Plus day. It was only recently during the shareholders thing
Yeah.
that they finally gave the Obi-Wan trailer.
Yeah.
But we know they have a lot of projects, just like Marvel does. They have so many projects in development way before they
Yeah.
ever make
Yeah.
the announcement for it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I know.
I
I'll
think
tell you
that
everything.
it
We know.
could be across the board. I mean, we could. The hard thing is there's also maybe we get updates of some of the things they announced already, like Lando.
Yeah, where are we on
Yeah.
the?
Did you see there was a thing this week of Donald Glover was on
You got asked about it, or
was it Kimmel or Fallon? It was on either Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon. Was
if you say
asked.
Jimmy, well,
Jiminy.
He was on one of the late
It was on Jiminy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was on one of the late night shows, and he was asked about, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel. He said, so you're doing all, and they were talking about his show. I've never seen it, but apparently it's gotten great reviews of his show Atlanta, which is a show that
Yeah.
he like wrote and
Mhm.
has developed all this. And they're talking about his new season and talking about how he
Yeah.
also does music and he does so
He
many
does
different
so
things.
many
He's just
things.
so, and then Jimmy just goes, and then you also are doing the new Lando is coming out, and you're involved in that. And he goes, "Am I?" And like, kind of, but then like kind of smiled and was like,
Okay.
"Okay, am I?" And then he said, "Well, are you?" And he said, "Yeah." I mean, I can't say too much about it, but yeah, it does look like we're doing another one of those.
Ooh. Yeah.
But he said, "There's a lot of things I'm doing right now." So he didn't definitively say yes, but he also didn't take as a time to go like, "Hey, listen, I'm not involved in that." He kind of
Yeah.
skirted the question a little bit, which could have been just, these
Yeah.
guys that are involved in Marvel and Star Wars shows. You can't confirm anything. They don't
Yeah.
want you to
yeah.
do that. That's why Ewan had to lie about it for like 5 years until finally Kathleen Kennedy's on stage with him and said, "You have permission to say the word yes." Yes. So that's the Acolyte. I mean,
Oh yeah, give us some footage of that.
give us a little. I mean, I know
Do we
some
have
of
a
that.
date
Most of that
even on
stuff
this stuff?
isn't filmed yet, but I know that
Do we
they
have
can
dates
they
on these
can
things?
make.
Or at least like,
Well,
do we know what year Ahsoka's coming out in?
I
I
believe
thought you said next year.
yeah, Ahsoka
Is
next
it?
year, Acolyte
Okay.
next year.
Oh,
is
okay.
what the because it's supposed to be Obi-Wan May,
Mhm.
end of May now. Bad Batch season 2, which is floated around. We don't have a date for
I
that yet because
know.
initially it was going to be.
It's supposed to be
spring.
this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
initially it was going to be spring.
Then it just says
The
2022.
hard thing that they're running into now is with Star Wars having multiple projects and Marvel having multiple Disney Plus
You
projects.
gotta work between.
They're trying
and,
to
yeah,
not. They're
it's fine.
trying to not. Which I think a lot of people will speculate is one of the reasons why Obi-Wan,
Got pushed back those couple days.
Miss Marvel, the show Miss Marvel, which is a new show after Moon Knight, I think will be airing leading up to, or will be airing at the same time, and they're trying to make sure they're not on
Same day.
similar schedules.
I was
and
wondering
stuff.
because Star Wars went from Fridays to Wednesdays with
Right.
Boba Fett. Now they're going back to Fridays.
Although
after
they
this
announced
change.
they're doing just 2 Fridays and then they're back to Wednesday.
Oh really?
Well,
Yeah,
I think
which
they're gonna
made
have
people
to
kinda
do
surprised.
Friday and Wednesday if they ever.
Yeah,
have-
eventually.
They're gonna have
Eventually
two
they'll
things
have
at
to,
once.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get a Wednesday, Friday, Wednesday, Friday, Wednesday, Friday?
Especially
Wow.
with some of
Man.
these.
We're
Some
gonna
of
be
these are
podcasting
multiple.
all the time.
Some of these are multiple seasons too. So like,
Right.
Yeah. So
you've
Mando
got
comes back.
You've
and-
got the limited series like Obi-Wan or some of these other shows.
Yeah.
But then you've got Mando. There's the Mando season 3 coming out, and then you've got these things that are like, well, this is a staple that's going to be here for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
We also have to have Marvel during that time at some point,
Mhm.
so they're eventually going to have to
Moon
overlap
Knight
a little
was
bit.
great too.
I still haven't seen the first
You
episode
haven't?
yet.
Have you seen
I
it?
know, I've been so
Oh, yeah.
busy this
We just
week.
watched it today.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna
I
watch it tonight or
loved it.
tomorrow.
It's great. Oscar Isaac.
Love it. He's so good.
This
Oscar
ties
Isaac's so
into
good.
what we were talking about as far as actors last week. It's just
Oh, yeah.
fantastic actor.
He's awesome.
Oscar
He's
Isaac's
so
awesome.
good. Yeah.
But yeah, so the developments we're thinking.
I have one I'd love to hear announced.
At
What do you
Celebration.
Yeah,
What we got?
I want to have them announce the growth and the worldwide love of the Star Wars guys YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Don't get much.
What's funny is
I
How
talked to
have
her
they
about it.
not
She's like,
announced us
she's like,
yet?
I'll try. Like, do
the
more
thing
than,
is I
do or
don't.
do not. There is no try. So
Yeah.
The thing is I don't want to sound like ungrateful.
I
But,
feel
like,
like
at
we're
some
Matt Damon
point-
to Jimmy Kimmel.
we are.
Like, oh, so we ran out of time.
we are.
At
You know
some
what I mean?
point, every time Kathy grabs a mic, I'm like, "This is the
It
day."
is.
Ah, Obi-Wan trailer. Who wanted this?
Will she keep her word?
Who wanted this Obi-Wan trailer?
she
Give
keep
us
her
love.
word?
Give us love. Shout out the channel.
I think they're going to be showing our merch that we haven't come
Oh
up with yet.
man!
I think they're going to be showing our channel trailer.
Our channel trailer
Which
at
is-
Star Wars Celebration.
which is really
great.
I was
which
going to
is
say
really
that's
good.
another
Awesome.
thing I want to happen at Celebration. To announce
Celebrate
that I'm
us.
part of the cast.
Yeah,
any
I'm
of
at
the
Celebration.
cast.
Any of the casts.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Any of the casts announce that I'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Dude,
What
so,
if somebody walks on stage and slaps Kathy Kennedy?
oh gosh.
It's gonna happen
And
then.
it's George.
And it's Will Smith.
Slapping everybody.
Oh man! Chris like, keep that guy down. Somebody get him.
He just keeps finding a stage.
It's
He
awful.
just goes down.
man.
They announce the cast, and he just goes down the line, just
Man,
smacking everybody.
what a rough
Oh my
night.
God.
But I would love. What if? I mean, someday, as if Star Wars Celebration will
Someday.
ever announce a podcast on there.
That's a
Well,
bucket
what's-
list, man.
What
That's
is
a bucket
interesting
list
though
item.
is
For
I
sure.
know that other Star Wars podcasts
Get
for Senate,
invited.
that
You can
they-
apply.
that you can apply to
can
have
apply to have a
to have
podcast,
a panel there or to have
Yeah.
like a station or a
Yeah.
booth and stuff that
Yeah.
people will come and you'll have
Did we apply this year?
It's not too late.
no
We need to.
we didn't.
We got what, a month?
We need to.
I don't know when Star Wars Celebration.
I don't no. Oh, we know what it is. May.
Is it?
Remember
May.
it's the same
Okay.
time as,
I mean to
Kenobi.
apply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to apply.
It's probably
I-
earlier than this.
yeah, we.
No, I saw like a couple weeks
The
ago.
best
they
is
said
when
it's
we.
still open. So
Oh,
maybe it's
all right.
closed now. But
All right.
The best is us figuring this out live on the podcast right now.
Yeah. We'll
It's great.
When is it? Maybe we'll apply.
Yeah.
Love it. That's very.
Maybe we
definitive.
That's
won't.
So great. But no, that's a bucket list item for sure for me is to go to Star Wars
To go?
Celebration.
We'll go.
Yeah. We'll go for sure.
We will.
We'll record a podcast from
Someday.
it.
Someday.
I'm waiting for the Star Wars guys.
For the Star Wars guys.
What's if we had to place a bet, do we think there'll be any announcement regarding a film other than Rogue Squadron?
Yes, I think so. Oh,
Don't-
we're voting?
Yeah, don't pretend we didn't
Okay.
hear what Nate just said.
3, 2, 1. I was just kidding.
Oh.
It says yes is my idea, but no. I think they will. They
think-
almost have to.
I think they
Yeah,
will.
I feel like it's been too long. They got to.
I think they
Been
will.
too long.
I think
Even
they'll-
if it's not that far, I think they'll announce something.
that's what. So we're talking about what it, or just even what it could be about. Of like movie here's attached to it, Old Republic, or a movie attached
Right.
to it. It's going to explore. Give that little 1-2 sentence summary.
Yeah.
It's we don't know all the
I'm
actors or anything,
predicting-
but it's going to be Origins of the Jedi.
I'm
It's going to be
predicting-
High Republic.
there will be an announcement about either I'll say movie. That's either High Republic or Old Republic.
Ooh.
That's my prediction.
Or just the Republic.
Or the Young Republic.
sure. Is that
Young
one-
Like
is
a
that-
Jedi.
It's that Mon
but
Mothma movie we've always wanted.
Republic.
Mon Mothma.
Our best actor, which she's great.
Hour.
The
Right,
fans voted.
right. Best
Fans
supporting
voted.
actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll get.
Do we think there'll be an announcement of a new animated series?
Yes, because I've heard rumors of it.
Oh my goodness, this guy!
Really?
He jumps the gun.
You just
before we
changed
even
my
do it.
mind.
That's not confirmed. Rumors never pan out.
All right.
Rumors never pan out. 3, 2, 1. Oh.
I changed your mind. You
You
were
changed.
yes, and then when you
Well,
waited, there's rumors.
explain
you thought
it.
there's
Wait,
no way.
explain
you
yourself.
almost changed.
What is he proposing?
What is he
What is he
proposing?
proposing?
I don't know. I just felt
Just felt like we've got Bad Batch. We've got so many other
They
things.
got several working. I don't know.
The only reason I say yes
There
is
might be.
because, again, it's a rumor. So
New,
who knows?
not meaning like the droid thing that they've already mentioned. You mean
Yeah.
a completely new.
Nate's talking a little.
You know what I'm going.
Yeah,
You've heard the same
Nate's
thing.
going a little Crimson
We
Dawn.
mentioned this
Nate's
before.
going
There's
a little
rumors
Crimson
that
Dawn.
there's going to be a mall animated show.
Oh,
coming.
all right.
They should.
That,
they should.
that
get,
might touch on some of the solo stuff that they kind of had planned with Crimson
Yeah.
Dawn.
you
Solo
know who's
story.
a good?
Now
Cool.
an animated show
All right.
around mall.
You know who's a good young actor I'd love to see voice Maul? Mr. Sam Witwer.
Ooh.
I've never seen that before. Have
He'd
we?
be a great Maul.
He would be a good mall.
Throw all the names.
Has he ever thought about that?
I think he'd be good. I think he'd do it.
He'd be good.
That's awesome. Do we have anything else on this topic? Any other announcements you were thinking of?
I can't think of anything.
And do we
big.
think there would be another live action show announced that we haven't heard of, or does it feel like we've already got Ahsoka, Andor?
Announced
just
so
a-
many we haven't even seen.
I
yet.
think
Yeah.
it's just a matter
Lando.
of giving us more information on the stuff they pretty much.
That I totally agree. I don't think there'll be an announcement of
They've
one
announced
we
a ton
haven't
of
heard
stuff.
of.
How about-
Although there's still that Tales of the Jedi that
How
we're not
about-
sure if that's,
That's
animated
true.
or if that's anything.
How about this? An announcement to the expansion of Galaxy's Edge.
Ooh,
Now that I am all for,
That could be a
That
thing.
could be
They
a
almost
thing
have
for
to.
sure.
Like we're
because we said
Especially
so
what?
much has happened. And gonna.
It's
and
still
they just
it's
launched
still
their
The
new,
hotel.
The hotel.
Mhm.
There's
you were
gotta
just
be.
there, Uncle. Is it still pretty much pre-episode 9?
It is. Mhm.
So
They have. They have.
They'll have to
They
change
need to
that
have
up.
some storyline that can. I mean,
Ray's
around.
in there, and
Ray's
but
in there, you
There's
got-
not much that's like specifically.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
It's
true,
all
that's
sequel
true.
stuff.
I guess there's just you
Hmm.
wonder if they'll ever. Well, we've talked about this before. If ever have different segments of the park that's maybe like
Yeah.
Luke, Leia, Han, or like that's
That was
'cause they
the
obviously
vision.
went
Based
yeah.
on
That was the
time.
vision a lot of
Or
people
Mando.
had for like
Just did
making a
Mando.
Star Wars land instead of like
Mhm.
a Disneyland. A lot of people, way back when, you can look up maps that people have created of like, here's my idea of what a Star Wars land would be like, and it
Man.
was like planets basically. You go
Oh.
to Hoth and you
Mm.
go to Mustafar, and this area is Tatooine, and
Wow.
you kind of go from planet around.
It's
you
like
can see
a,
different things.
An Epcot center of Star Wars. You can go
Yeah,
Yeah.
around the galaxy.
I like it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nice. Next,
Next topic.
All right.
What we got?
Think I'm up.
You're up. Spooky lightning.
You gotta mix 'em up, that's the key.
Out of Vader's helmet.
oh, ooh, we have the cringiest moments in Star Wars.
Oh man. All right.
Cringiest moments in Star Wars. I like this.
We need to
This-
preface
Oh,
this with
man.
love.
I love it.
My kids were asking about that as like a category.
I
for
almost
our
went
Academy
to, a category
Awards.
Similar.
That's
like this.
great.
You did?
Oh, I went to like a what are. It was
You made
gonna
me
be a
think
little
of
bit
one.
more harsh almost of, but I didn't want it to be harsh of like. What are
me think of
what
one.
are some things we don't like of each of the movies?
Ah,
And,
yeah.
like because maybe
Yeah.
some people think like, oh, they just love every single movie. They're blindly loving each Star Wars movie and can't see some of the flaws. We're like, no, I don't necessarily
Take it
love
for what it
the.
is.
I don't necessarily love the line. Somehow Palpatine returned. Like I could have
Right.
used a little bit more explanation, but I also get that's part of like the.
What is he
What is he proposing? Apologies.
Apologies.
Like there's some over the
Right.
top stuff, but
Maybe cringiest isn't the right way to say it. I was just trying to get up maybe stuff that we might have done.
differently. Sure.
A line.
Yeah.
A moment.
This is perfect. So
Yeah.
this
A
is,
moment that we
this is where
might.
I almost went.
Man, not so sure.
I love it.
Such a
I like
drag.
this then.
Such a drag.
I like this. So we just start throwing some out there.
I don't want it to become a hate fest. But
No.
Hate.
hate.
Morons.
Morons.
Buy our
But
moron shirt.
let's
you
just do
morons.
this.
No.
Let's make it. You know, if you ever go to those ceremonies where they're announcing people's names, they say, "Please hold your applause to the end until all the names
Yes.
have been announced." So let's make our love announcement at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then we don't have to preface every single one with, I love Star Wars so
love Star
much,
Wars,
but we could just
Okay.
Yeah.
rattle them off, right? So
Well, we each brought our love poems we wrote to Star Wars, right?
That's right.
True. True.
my ode to George.
To George.
Oh, George, I love thee. Let me count the ways. No, we can't. I mean, we're doing a podcast for crying out loud. We dedicate
course we love
hours and
Star
hours
Wars.
and hours to
Yeah.
this.
And
Because we
people
love
that
it.
watch us know
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
love Star Wars.
And listen,
And the way we even go about, as I don't know what we're going to say, but the way we say it isn't like, this was dumb. They shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
This is
No,
dumb.
This
They're,
makes
this
sense.
was not my favorite.
they're just something like, not my favorite thing.
right?
And that's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe my favorite thing.
Oh,
Ooh, that's true.
Could be.
Could
That's
be.
true. Also, real quick, if you guys are watching, feel free to drop in some comments of topics you want us to add to the hat too. The
Yeah.
helmet.
Yes.
And we can drop your
Yeah.
topic. or
Add some
discussion
virtual
in there.
comments into the helmet.
And we can drop them in, and when we pull it,
I like it.
that'll be the topic.
Yeah.
I like it.
But cringy moments, or like you said,
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
like
Things
whatever.
you would change.
Have you ever want to phrase it?
I don't like sand. It's cars
hate
and
sand.
rough and irritating.
It gets everywhere.
It gets everywhere.
Everywhere.
My lady.
My lady.
Did you have any? I've got a couple. Do you have
I
any
mean,
off the top
Luke,
of your head?
Luke rises to the. Luke rises to the top. We've got
There's
Tashi Station. We got what's that? Flashing. we got-
converters.
Yeah, that's about pod. I mean, there's so many.
I mean, even the
flash?
great I am your father saying no.
Even the-
And
right.
that is like over the top.
You
It's-
wonder.
It's
You
like
wonder.
I'm sure Mark Hamill with how much he's developed as an actor, even though he was a great
He
actor
probably
then.
looks back like,
But I'm sure he
I
even
could
looks
do
and was
that.
like
I got better. I got.
he's
another
looking
one.
back and he's like, dang it, George.
I got
Like-
one more.
Like
Emmy.
that's also George's
he's
fault.
looking back going,
Or you know,
this
it's
is the greatest
I
scene in
wanna
movie
be-
history.
Right.
yeah.
We were talking about the other day about the scene when when Vader's talking, and then he turns around and goes, "Bring me the ship," and he's like
He does
this close
right
to
in
the.
his face.
But it just they misjudged the space
Yeah.
of the helmet.
The helmet.
He's like, "Now we've got that." That's a moment like, "Oh, we could have done
That's
that
when George
one over."
like, no, that's good.
Cut. That's perfect.
That's good.
Could have
There's
done that one over.
Yeah.
I got some for sure, and I love. I almost started prefacing again how much.
No,
I
you
love-
can.
But
It's okay.
I was just saying,
I don't think you love it.
I love the sequel
If
trilogy.
you loved it, you wouldn't criticize it.
Yeah,
Boo.
boo, hater.
This guy
hater.
hates it. What is he proposing? The that's just automatic gold always.
That's up to the top.
That's always up there.
That's so good.
And yet it's something that now I wouldn't change it because I wouldn't have this to quote forever. I
Right.
love it.
Right.
There's a number of things from the, and I'll even go to one of my films near and dear to my heart, Last Jedi. I don't
No.
particularly love the sequence of the type of. I think a lot of the Rian Johnson humor played well for me. There's a number of things that I'm like, not my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like a ton of the. That's it. That's the force. That's it. Reach out. And she like smacks her hand. She's like,
Yeah, not my
oh,
favorite.
that's it. Oh, you meant reach out, like, and then like Luke like rolls his eyes at her. It's like, a little cheesy,
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it took me out of the movie or anything like that. It was kind
No.
of like, oh, they took a shot. It didn't
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah.
land for me. It was
Right.
not my favorite, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
But also the intro, the Poe talking with General Hugs.
About your mother.
About
his mother.
About his
Yeah.
mother. Like
Yeah.
that felt a little too real world comedy to me,
Right,
more
right.
than like he made a your mama joke basically.
Yeah.
But I do think that it is consistent to his character in Force Awakens. What happens? You talk first, I talk first. It's the first thing he ever says to
Yeah.
Kylo.
Yeah. And I love that
It's-
part.
and I love
I
that.
did like
And
that.
that
It's a little hard to hear you at the
How's
end.
this
The
work?
whole-
You talk first.
the
I
whole
talk
math.
first.
And like so
Yeah.
that was a way that I felt like that played really well then, and they kept
Right.
it kind of quick. Like it's so hard to hear you with all the apparatus
That's
or
what
what
can't
was
get
saying.
into the way. Yeah.
And I thought that was great. I thought the other one dragged on a little bit long. Of okay, I'll hold. I believe he's tooling with you, sir. Like that's just a little bit like
Yeah.
okay.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You hear me?
He can.
He can. He can.
He can.
I believe he's
Tooling with you, sir. Fire. Right.
So not my favorite,
Yeah.
but it doesn't detract from my overall love of the film. Yeah. You got some, Nate? Or
She
Uncle?
seems to be on top of things.
She's doing all the things.
And the
Padme.
punny stuff is.
Yep.
It's a drag. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think it's those things that are, those are moments we look back at now and like that is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like I look at it, I'm like, that is Star Wars. There's stuff like
People
that.
think
So I
that's-
take it for what it is now, but at the time, probably watching it,
People think
Right.
that's new to the prequels or the sequels. That's from the
No,
beginning.
no,
That's
it's-
just
yeah.
what's that
flashing?
flashing? Like that.
that's good timing.
Jinx.
Jinx, you owe me a power converter.
What do
Is
we
that
do?
how it is?
Jinx on the power.
Jinx
Grid.
on my power. Is there? Go ahead. I'll let you finish. And I have an interesting question.
I'm done.
Is there any character? Is there any character in Star Wars who doesn't have a single cringy moment? A single moment where they're like, ooh. Is there a character who doesn't have one?
If it is, it's probably a character that didn't last.
Didn't
super
last
I
long?
was say I don't.
I was trying to
I
think
know
like
that-
Qui-Gon.
So
Does
maybe
Qui-Gon have
R2 doesn't really have any, but he's not really talking.
He's just
That's not
swearing all
fair.
the time.
Chewbacca doesn't really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Although,
but so like the speaking
although
parts.
Luke does go like this to Chewie and
He
Empire,
scratched
he
him.
goes up and
That is a
scratches
little bit.
Chewie's.
That is a little bit.
That is we're like he
like,
now is not
he's a
treating him like
puppy.
a piece.
He's
He's
a
a
dog.
dog.
I don't.
That's not
No.
super
Oh,
exciting.
no, I'll see you, Chewie. Starts scratching
Yeah.
and Chewie's just
Yeah.
legs kicking.
That is like you imagine Queel, I have spoken. Oh, that's a spot.
That's it,
a-
That's it.
He's a different creature.
Oh,
He doesn't mean
yeah.
he's your pet. That's that spot. Yeah, Quill,
What if
Quill
Chewie
starts
just turns him?
Quill's
So funny.
he's kicking his legs.
He's
Oh gosh.
man.
There's a Han Solo bit that I don't particularly love in Return of
What?
the Jedi.
Watch
It's the whole
Watch your
dare
mouth,
you.
kid. You're gonna find yourself floating home.
it's the whole tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
C-3PO. And
That's
it comes
right.
that one I think
Yeah.
honestly, when you watch it now, I think that of the ones I've named, that might be my least favorite. Of like,
It's a
it's
a rough bit.
It's a rough bit that because of this, and he turns this, and it's
Tell him when you
hurry up, would you?
Hurry
You're
up,
like,
yeah.
oh. And it's like, and again, I get that the joke. I'm sure kids saw it. I was like, oh, it's kind of funny.
Right. He's saying hurry because he hasn't
He's
even left yet.
But as an adult,
Right.
you're like, that's a lot. It's just
Yeah.
a different tone. It's a different vibe
Yeah.
than kind of the Han.
Mm-hmm.
The Han that we saw, the sarcastic-y, like actually be tough on you Han than like make a prank little joke of turning and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
again, just not one of my favorites, but I love me some Return of the Jedi. The whole throne room. Once you get to the whole throne room, every single
I know.
Palpatine line is the most quotable
That's
thing
so
you've ever heard.
great.
They are.
Every single line, you're like, that's probably his number one line. And then he speaks again.
There's
You're like,
another
"Oh,
one.
No, that's his number
That
one. I'm
might be
afraid the deflect is yours. So be it. Jedi. You will be mine.
You will die.
Spooky
Oh.
lightning.
I love it.
I don't know. You got any other ones?
You know, probably.
with him.
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, we haven't even gotten
we
to
haven't
Jar
got
Jar.
to-
Yeah.
I could have done
Delophaligats
with
is pretty
one
good.
fewer steps in.
That's pretty high.
Oh gosh.
Uh,
Fellow, yeah, was fellow or Delophaligats, yeah. That's-
Delophaligats.
Uh,
You're a funny little boy. I mean, there's just a
bewitched.
number.
You're a funny
Yeah.
little
You an
boy.
angel? You're a
I
funny
mean,
little
yeah.
boy.
Funny little boy.
There's
That was a
definitely some
compliment.
cringe
You make me
moments, too.
mad. I'm so
Just-
sad. You're a funny little boy. Okay.
Anakin.
I'll try spinning.
Don't look at
That's
me
a
like
good
that.
trick.
Trick.
That's
Don't look at me
that's a
like
rough
that. I
one.
don't like
That
it. Yes, my lady.
makes me
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Makes me
Looks at her
uncomfortable.
even more creepy.
Sorry, my lady. Like, whoa, 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 handcuff him. Yeah, for sure. The I'll try spinning. That's the cool trick. It's one of the.
a cool trick.
That's
That's
one
up
that
there.
Ryan Johnson, JJ. I don't care who you are, would
Right.
just get raked over the coals if they
Oh
did
my
that.
gosh.
If they do that, they'd say, "Who let that line
That's right.
Yeah.
in there?"
Yeah.
Yet, it's always been there. That's how Star Wars is.
That's
Star
it.
Wars, it's always a combination of the fine line of something that's so goofy or so grotesque, weird of these monsters, and yet there's also this hero's
Yeah.
journey, inspirational coolness to it. That's always.
Yeah.
That's why defining what is Star Wars, you're like, actually, Luke
It's all over the place.
milking a giant sea monster to get his green milk is
Drinking the milk.
actually kind of Star.
That's good.
Like,
Yeah,
that's-
it's
Like that. That's not my favorite thing ever
That's not
either.
my favorite either.
Like his little, not my favorite, but it's
Mm-mm.
also, if you
Star
also
Wars.
see any of the stuff that like George is doing at the special editions with, like
Right.
There's so much of it that's always just kind of off the rails. Like it's amazing that is even that is in the same film.
Right.
The same exact film of I will never turn to the dark side. I'm a Jedi like my father before me. Like the most like chills watching it. And then you cut back to an hour and a half ago. It's the same film. And I love it. But these are throughout. That's how it is.
They are.
Oh man.
They are.
I mean,
think
even Empire has Yoda first going like
Absolutely.
banging R2
I
and
know.
stuff. And
No, that's my dinner.
And there's
Don't
also
touch
the
that.
debate of how much of that is an act, like on
If you actually
Yoda's,
lost it to a
or
degree.
is he not seen people? And like
Right.
obviously he definitely flips the switch and like, but also he does look genuinely like he's upset he doesn't get the little beef stick. Like,
I know.
Yoda does look like he's maybe been a hermit for too long.
Oh man. Might see some of that maybe in Obi-Wan.
Could be.
Maybe Obi-Wan starts doing that stuff.
He's
Hit with stick.
Give me my beef stick.
Oh
That's
man,
great.
R2.
R2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's only fair to
Love it.
say that we can find cringy moments in all of them.
I think
Oh,
so.
They don't lean heavy. The sequels, prequels. It's across the whole thing.
Book of
Stuff
Boba
we
Fett,
love, stuff we don't. It's
Mando,
part
Book of
the-
Boba. It's all got it. You got the
Right.
spin. Everyone, the spin, the color of the color of the
Spin, color of
Vespas
the-
is
Man,
always. Although I
Yeah.
can't remember if I mentioned on the last podcast or not, but I saw a good like Instagram or TikTok video of someone saying, in fairness, that slow, unnecessary spin is, while it's completely Robert Rodriguez and like totally something he would do in some of his
Mhm.
movies, it felt very Spy Kids-esque kind of.
Yeah.
It's also the exact move Alec Guinness does in front of Darth Vader with a lightsaber. Darth Vader's holding a lightsaber, and Alec Guinness goes boom, 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 like just an unnecessary slow spin.
spins around and
And Vader just waits until he completes the spin and then attacks again. Where like this dude's already pointing at them, spins back to the exact same
And
position and
points.
shoots.
Ooh,
It's not like he was facing the other way and sees behind him and
Spins around.
He actually goes,
it was a 360.
and then people are like, "Where's he going?"
He's going. No, he's coming back.
No, he's coming back around. So
He's
not
coming
ready.
back.
Where's your
Mis-
blaster?
Misdirection. Watch out.
Oh, he's leaving. Oh, he's back.
And I love Book of Boba. We always feel the need if we go too hard on it to let people know they still love it.
You gotta, yeah.
But
Oh, man.
but yeah, that's just to say we haven't even gotten into Clone Wars and Rebels. You know,
Oh
we
my
love those.
Gosh.
That's
Some of the
raw.
greatest Star Wars stuff is in Clone Wars.
Snips.
I mean, we could just.
God, if I make parents, Ezra.
Ezra, you're
with the
annoying.
Enough with the parents, Ezra.
You're an orphan. We get it.
Got it. He's like, Ezra, you didn't live through
Ezra.
Order 66. I've seen trauma. Ezra. I just want him to be like, Ezra, I'm Freddie Prinze Jr.
Kanan's like, Ezra. That would have been the highlight of my life.
This is so good.
What am I doing here? I played Fred and Scooby Doo. What? I gotta get my agent on the phone.
Where's Scooby? I gotta find Scooby snacks.
I was wrong.
Find Scooby Snack for Chopper.
For Chopper. Scooby snacks for Chopper.
Let's split up.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Man.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
that was
Next
a good
one?
That was a good one. I like it.
Do
like
another
it.
one.
Who's back up? I just went.
Is that me? Oh no.
Can you reach it?
Do we need to help me take this mask off? Because it's filled with pieces
Ooh.
of paper.
I'm here to save you. You already have.
Ooh, this.
Oh,
All
that
right.
was me. That was a this or that.
It's a lighthearted.
This or that? This was you?
This is what would you rather see announced, or like what would you rather get in the near future film wise?
Oh,
3 new separate movies or a new trilogy. So same number of movies is what you were saying.
So like, would you
3
like
new
to hear
separate ones or
announced
Love
that like
this.
Taika's got a film coming out? Kevin Feige's helping produce some type of a
Nah.
movie, and you know we've got Patty Jenkins doing
Yeah, yeah.
Rogue Squadron or something, or
3 separate movies or a new
a
trilogy.
new trilogy.
Wow.
And I
Ooh.
picked this because I thought of this in the car, and I was wrestling with myself on this of
Man.
the positives and like the just what is the plus or minus on each side of like, ooh, I would like this about that because then it could build.
I got my
also.
answer.
Well, let's hear. And we can each explain.
You can
Oh,
say
yeah.
whether I'm right or wrong.
Whenever
I
we
just do
don't
that
know anything,
whenever.
we just go.
Oh, you
what
have
is
an
it?
answer. Let's
Rock,
vote.
paper,
Is it
scissors,
good or
Leader
bad?
Spock.
I personally would like a trilogy because now that the Skywalker saga is over, I'm very excited for a new storyline to go like that will go further than just like a solo movie, where they can
We got a
start,
solo movie.
where,
No, I'm just
where they
It
can
was
start
good.
fresh,
Solo.
kind
I
of.
don't like it.
They can start a little bit fresh with a
Mhm.
new, whether it's new characters. I don't know what the trilogy would be, but I'm kind of excited to take the pressure off of trying to stay in the timeline, in the, whether it's a prequel or this movie fits in this piece. Okay, how many people are going to be mad that this character didn't look right? Or like,
Mhm.
I'm kind of, if they have a new trilogy and they either go to High Republic or Old Republic or even in the future or something, I'm excited that there's not going to, like, the expectations aren't there. Like, I feel like with Star Wars right now, there's every new project, Obi-Wan comes out, there's going to be a ton of expectations.
Everybody
There's
knows what
going
he's
to be
supposed to
people
do. Right?
that are going to be
They
let
think
down.
he should do. Yeah.
There's just because people are going to want all the
angry.
craziest things to happen.
Right.
There's gonna be a handful of people that are probably gonna be let down by something because they wanted something to go their way.
Yeah.
But with a new trilogy where they can start from, I don't know, let's just say High Republic, Old Republic, they can kind of do without. Now, I mean, obviously there's other projects like the video games and stuff in that era that have influenced that. But in terms of actual like canon movie and TV show stuff, there isn't, and so. I don't know. To me, that just sounds kind of refreshing to not have to, think about what, just no expectations, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. I would like with his understanding of Star Wars, dedication to craft, excellent writing combined with excellent directing. I would love a Rian Johnson trilogy. That would be my
I would too.
pick. It would do multiple things. Number one, it would do exactly what you said. But number two, it would somewhat. I mean, he's got a lot of love from the critics, but it would somewhat redeem his Star Wars cred, because to step in the middle, I can't imagine telling the middle story of the sequels. That's an incredibly difficult task.
To a writer-director, which is like that's the Rian Johnson is a
Right.
JJ co-wrote and did like Rian Johnson. The way he does his movies is he writes it, he directs it.
Yeah.
He's the sole guy.
That's right.
So you don't have the creative freedom like you were talking about in the middle of. You're also dealing
Yeah.
with legacy characters,
You have
which I like what they did with them. But like you said, people came in with a preconceived notion of this is my emotional baggage or attachment or feelings towards this character I grew up with.
Yeah.
I used to make fan fiction in my head of where Luke ended up.
Mhm.
And whether you agree with it or disagree with it, Ryan did something that I think most people did not see coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, that's one of the reasons I loved it so much was we've kind of joked before on here. If I could write the sequel trilogy, it's not very well written because I'm not a good writer. Like I couldn't write. Like if it's something that I could come up with, I don't want something that I could come up with. I want something that a professional who's a fantastic writer who has Academy Award nominations and like does in his some of the best episodes of Breaking Bad, has done Brick and Looper and Knives Out and all this stuff. Pull him out of if the problem that people had if the people who didn't like Last Jedi and we love Last Jedi, but the people who didn't like what he did with particular characters, namely Luke.
Right.
You take him out and now you introduce a whole new cast of characters and he can do whatever. And he's got a blank slate. He is just objectively a brilliant writer
He
and
may
director.
be the best
That's not even up
of
for
all of these.
Yeah. To say
to do something
that
like
is
that.
something that he has proven over and over again is that if your problem with The Last Jedi wasn't that, it's a poorly directed movie, it's you didn't like some particular character choices, cool. That's up to you. Put him in a blank slate in a different era, and you can do whatever he wants.
Absolutely.
I think he would blow us away.
I stumbled on why the sequels, why the prequels could never live up to the original. In some, they just can't. You know why? It's something we forget. I forgot. The twist.
Yeah.
The Vader twist.
Yeah.
None of the other movies have that.
And if you
No.
try to do it again, you're like, yeah, we already
can't
it's
do
not
that.
surprising.
Even other
The
movies
twist
that are
of
made
the
now are
bad
like,
guy
oh,
being
it's
the
'cause of-
father.
Yeah.
That twist is the essence of what makes Empire
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah.
And that's not in any, you can't do that in any
Can't
other
do that
movies.
again.
Ryan Johnson did that in Knives Out.
Yeah.
yeah.
Great.
He did. It's
So
awesome.
I
Yeah.
see him as being able to craft a trilogy where we do have those twists and turns that you could create from scratch,
Oh my gosh.
not being locked in, but tell us a story that surprises us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
I would
in
love
Star
it.
Wars.
So like
Be awesome.
if you're saying trilogy, because you said you'd like a trilogy, right?
Yeah.
Or were you thinking like past? Like I guess in the past. So
I don't know. We mentioned this in one of the podcasts. It could be at any time, but in another place.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Could be like outside of. It could be. We don't even know what time
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the ships and everything are all different.
Mm-hmm.
Could be something completely.
Yeah.
They have blasters. They know about the Force, all that stuff, but it's not like
Yeah.
set
different.
within the confines of the Empire of the First Order. None of that's a thing because it's
Somewhere
so
else.
far away. Or it could be within time too. It feels like
It was in a galaxy very, very close.
very, very close. I was thinking, and
In
this
a
could
galaxy
come up in
next
something
door.
else, but it's so hard to write to complete someone else's symphony, who is considered the Beethoven of
Yeah.
or
Storytelling,
Mozart
yeah.
of
Yeah.
movies. Like,
Yeah.
how do you, in some ways, not for everybody, but the peak of the craft, like one of the greatest of all time, and then you got to come in and create something new. It sounds the same, but isn't the same, and isn't worse.
It can't be
Can't
too
be
different because
better.
it has to feel like,
It's
the
like
original, but it
so
can't be
hard.
like the original because then it has to be different.
So hard.
It can't be too different. It has
So I
to
g-
surprise us.
So I
yeah.
get to
Right.
that.
But don't
new-
surprise us too much because I
Change
know
our
what I want
characters,
it
but
to
don't
be.
change them too much.
And
Yeah,
changing the
it's-
way we all want. And
Yeah.
You're going in knowing that people aren't going to like what
Yeah.
some people aren't going to like it.
Yeah.
But if it's a new trilogy from Ryan Johnson, that would be what I would
I
listen
just
to
really want
most.
something just brand new, fresh.
Brand new,
Star
fresh.
Wars.
Let's start something new.
Like that to
Yeah.
me,
I would
just
love
like even just talking about it, thinking about it, just feels
Pull
like
the
it
toys
sounds
out
just
and tell us a new story.
sounds like it's just like I don't know. It just seems like
would
relaxing.
love
it. And we
to
need-
not have to worry about
Do we think-
expectations.
And they
of
need
what
to
people
let
would
it-
think.
Yeah.
So we need some time for that to settle.
I was going to say,
to
do you think
redo
at
that.
all that the delays as far as Kathy's never – they announced the Rian Johnson trilogy, right after Last Jedi was when it was like releasing. They essentially said Rian Johnson's already on to do a trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the years since then, I guess that was crazy. It's already that was 2017. It's been 5 years since then almost.
Man.
In the time since then, Ryan's been asked about it, and Ryan responds a lot to people on Twitter and stuff and was asked
Yeah.
about it. And he said, like, still in the works, that type of thing. And, like, has basically said, like, no one's told me we're not doing it. But there's also no
Yeah.
specific. When they did their
What if that's what's announced?
Disney investor, when they did
Celebration.
Maybe.
when they did the investor day, though,
Wow.
they specifically talked about the stuff they have in the works. Taika Waititi movie, this. Didn't
Yeah, they
mention
did.
Rian Johnson at all. And people have they've even been some articles about maybe Rian Johnson's trilogy quietly being kind of put to bed. But there's been no official announcement about that happening or not happening. Part of it could be them just waiting that they do want Ryan to do a completely different
They're just
time
giving it
period,
time.
and they're giving it time because they're like, this will blow over. Ryan's great. Maybe he comes out with, even though it's not for our studio, comes out with another Knives Out movie soon.
Which he's got two
crushes
coming.
it.
Well, Knives Out was post
Yeah,
Jedi.
it was post Jedi.
Yeah.
So we didn't really know much about him.
By the way,
Yeah.
how good this is. I mean, say what you want about Rotten Tomatoes, whether people like it or not. But interesting fact is that they have Knives Out in their top 10 greatest movies of all time.
And that cred
It's so
moves.
good.
That cred moves the needle on The Last Jedi. It just does.
And-
it
Yeah.
influences how people see that movie.
And I've already seen.
yeah.
I've already seen people, and again, I've seen some people. I think it's just people pile on, but I've seen some people being like not everyone. There was a lot of people who were negative, that were vocally negative about The Last Jedi or vocally positive about The Last Jedi. It was it was a polarizing movie. Some people really liked it, some people didn't like it.
yeah.
There are also people who, since Rise of Skywalker came out, I've seen a change of tune to some people being
Yeah.
like,
Well,
well, I didn't like The Last Jedi, but I do.
At least it
it
wasn't
that.
right.
Which is also funny because I really love The Rise of
I
Skywalker.
did too.
And I
did
very
too.
specific-
Did they swing for
reasons
the
for a
fences
while.
on some stuff? Yeah, they did. But I was like, that's great. That's new. It's
Which
fresh.
also
After
funny
40
too
years, wrap up
because
40
the
years.
joke
Yeah, right.
changed too. The joke before was like,
Ryan Johnson
was
ruined Star Wars.
JJ set up this great thing, Ryan did it, and then JJ and that people are like JJ's rolling his eyes having to come in and clean up the mess. Where then now people are like, boo, JJ.
What
are you doing? JJ's like, why am I doing this?
Now
for
they
you
just
guys
blame
anymore?
Disney for everything.
Right.
But so all that to say, the public perception of this stuff quickly
Yeah.
changes. It changes quickly.
It does.
I think that over time the dust will
I
settle
think
there.
if
I
we
just
get
hope
a-
that they didn't. I think it is likely that they gave up on it because of the perception of it, or that it's
Yeah.
like, hey, we'll review this in like 8 years.
I
Yeah.
think if
something like
Knives
that.
Out 2 does really well, it'll just
You could
move
do
the
it.
credibility up. I bet you.
I
think
agree.
I
it's-
would love it.
Story's already done. I'll bet you he knows what he wants to tell us.
He's probably been, I mean,
I
he's a
would
Star
love
Wars
it.
fan.
Mhm.
He's probably been thinking about it for
He's got
years.
20 of them, probably.
Yeah, I mean,
Which
he's been,
one should I tell? Yeah.
Exactly. And like what you're saying, I do think the trilogy they probably end up scrapping it until something like that happens, where
Mhm.
like the credibility of it Knives Out 2 and like these other movies continue to do well for him.
Or maybe when he can, he might
Or
not be
ma-
able
yeah,
to do it
it's
right
true,
now.
maybe he can.
He's got a
But
lot
I
going
do
on.
think if they did a trilogy and they announced Ryan Johnson, there's probably going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm not going to see it. Ryan Johnson, it's terrible at Star Wars, whatever they say. But then when it comes out and it's a new trilogy with no background, no history, no expectations,
Yeah,
it's
it'll-
going to kill it.
it'll
And
be
everyone's
fine.
going to be like, oh, Ryan Johnson, like what's going to happen? And then that will
Yeah.
make, like you kind of said this a minute ago, it'll make people look at The Last Jedi differently.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope so.
I would love it.
I would
But
love it.
even if it's not Ryan Johnson, I think getting a new trilogy that's fresh and
Yeah.
would be very good.
What
That'd
are
be my
the
pick.
Wars.
are there any positives of the 3 individual movies instead? Would it just be you could cover different time periods? You could do an Origins of the Jedi,
Yeah.
a High Republic. You could not put all your eggs into the one basket of. We did talk about this before. That the thing about a trilogy is this is now what our next 7-8 years are going to be
That's right.
of films.
Yeah.
Like it's as soon as we go down this road, we're also not going to start a trilogy and do part 1, part 2, and just cancel the third and like stop mid because one of them doesn't do well, or like we're all in on this. Versus, I'm not saying that I would choose
Yeah.
the 3. Just the advantage of possibly doing
Do-
individuals is that you
Yeah.
could do. Taika doesn't want to do a trilogy. He just wants to do one movie. Maybe
Mhm.
he does his thing, and it can feel completely different from Patty Jenkins doing her thing, and they don't have to connect. Taika's interesting tone doesn't have to feel the same as the Wonder Woman
Doesn't.
style
Yeah.
of tone or
Doesn't.
anything like that. So you've got that advantage too of like someone can do their thing, you like it, you don't
Yeah.
like it. Guess what? We got another movie coming out next year.
I got
Different movie,
And it's a
different
nice
got a
style.
commercial for Disney Plus.
Or if someone's not attached to the particular just timeline,
Yeah.
or just if someone's like, oh, Old Republic, not my favorite thing in Star Wars. Like maybe some people just feel like that. That they're like, oh, that doesn't but Taika's got some new thing of the High Republic, or Taika, or like
Yeah.
just maybe got
Do
advantage
you-
there. But I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know, just what
It
you're
was just
saying just
playing,
makes me think.
That was
like,
just playing Palpatine's advocate or Devil's advocate. as we
Palpatine's
say.
advocate.
Do you think it's possible that they ever I mean, Star Wars is massive. Marvel's massive. Do you think it's possible that Lucasfilm, Star Wars, they ever go the Marvel route where trilogy following this character, trilogy following this character,
Oh.
and where it's all tied? Like, say they go Old Republic,
Mm-hmm.
they've got, whether it's, start with Origins of the Jedi at the beginning or whatever it is. Do you think it's possible that instead of just having, hey, here's our next big 3 characters, let's just tell this story now,
Mhm.
here's a trilogy, that they have an Iron Man like movie, and then you're introduced to these characters, but then wait a second, there's a Thor like movie coming out, but then Iron Man 2 comes out, but then Thor continues like going, so they're not all just in one basket. You can still dabble with going from different
They
things, but
could.
they're interweaved, kind of like how Marvel does it. I don't
Yeah.
know if Star Wars would ever do that or
The
not,
only-
but
They could. The only thing I think about Marvel, which is different, is the superhero character has a set of rules
Mhm.
yeah,
that lends
true.
itself.
They also have a ton of stories and comics to go off.
That's
of.
true. But every superhero has an origin story.
Yeah.
Every superhero has
Yeah.
a weakness. Every superhero has a strength.
Right.
Every superhero has an arch enemy. All of that story
And that's
is
I
already
was
written.
thinking of this
there.
too.
Like
It's
I
already
don't.
there. Yeah.
Han Solo, amazing character, but we made that movie.
Yeah.
Like Luke, we made that movie, but what is Leia's? If you just think about what
Yeah.
we know, like what is Leia's arch enemy? What is her? It doesn't quite
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
Maybe they could do it with Jedi.
They'd have,
different
that's what I
Jedi.
mean. If it was a Jedi and you,
You
follow
could.
one here, but then there's a Jedi.
you very well
And
could.
with Old Republic, they may not have designated. Here's the council. Here's how things work. The rules are different than what we may know
you
of
could
them
set
now.
it up
It's
with
like
3 superhero.
you could make it
kinda-
have it in mind that like
You could.
this guy's doing. He's a Jedi, but he's on this kind of sort of thing and has to go do this while he's doing this.
Right.
But they all meet up. I don't know. I'm not saying this is something I think they'll do. I just made me think
Have our
about
Chris. We
like, is
got
it
our whole-
something they've thought
Yeah.
about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
exactly.
think
That'd be
they'll
great. That'd be a
ever
great one.
do a Sith-led film? Acolyte feels like it'll be
Oh,
very,
man, I
very
think it's-
dark side
I
heavy.
think they're testing it.
or
with
do you think,
Acolyte.
or do you think that because it's Disney at the core of it all, George talked about hope and all this. That from
That's
a film
true.
standpoint, even though Empire and Last Jedi are dark, they also are the most comedic. Like Last Jedi might be the most comedic
Yeah.
of
Right.
Empire as well. It has some very funny moments. It's also the darkest of all the movies, but it's not. But it's still based on our heroes. But is there actually one that would be like
The
the
bad
main
guys win.
characters are the bad guys, and it's
And they
all
win.
from the bad guys, or are they like worried about like, well, we don't really want to give credibility to the
Yeah.
bad guys winning. The whole point is
I
to
think if
always
they
show
do-
the bad guys losing.
I mean, Marvel hasn't really done that either. I think if they
No.
do, it would be like a Venom. It would be an anti-hero. It would be someone that maybe starts a hero. Like instead of following Rey and getting Kylo's starting, story from where we start
Yep.
off is bad and then gets redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
If they ever did something like that where they follow a Sith, it would be basically that same story, but instead of following Rey, you're following Kylo from the beginning.
Yeah.
You see his evil stuff, he's bad, but then you still
His
get the
path to
redemption
redemption.
and the hope. Yeah.
Or I guess the argument could be made of how much different would that look. Like we already are starting with, we're already showing a lot of what Kylo's doing on the
That's
in the
yeah.
films. That like, what would it look a lot different following? Like as
Yeah.
plot A being the bad guy, and then plot B being we cut over to the good guy doing some
Yeah.
things a
And
little
I
bit.
think
but
why the
I don't know.
Great
prequels-
idea.
I think why the prequels worked and fit in is because it's almost the opposite of that story. We knew that Anakin was gonna fall, but it's not highlighting that in a good thing. It's extremely tragic.
Yeah.
So that's why they're able to do that, and it still ends with Anakin doing everything he did and turning bad, and that's literally how the trilogy ends.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the idea that it's not supposed to look good. It's intentionally showing that it's how tragic of a story.
Especially how
it
it
is.
ruined.
Yeah.
Well, you said you got a great idea on.
Since
let's
we're
hear it.
pitching movies,
Well,
this,
and
might,
Kathy's watching.
That's true.
this might fly in the face of everything we know about the dark side, but we've got the Batman.
Oh yeah.
So we've got the hero that's actually the kind of the villain, kinda.
The vigilante.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're doing it for good. What if we have a Jedi who is not in the Jedi
Like a
order,
like
but knows parts of the dark
like a
side,
Ventress.
like a Ventress
Or
who
something like that.
does it for. They're on the side of good. They're on the side of vigilantism, like a Saw Gerrera Jedi,
Ooh.
Yeah.
where they're on the right side, but they don't adhere to the same
Rules.
harsh black and white. It's funny they say the Sith speaks in black and white, but the Jedi are pretty black and white,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? So this dabbling on both sides of the
Yeah.
Force
Yeah.
as a character,
Hmm.
who's a hero, but they know the dark side and they
Huh.
reach out to it for certain elements and they walk a line
Yeah.
Interesting.
and they're
It's
pulled back
interesting.
and forth.
That's
And
some of
it
that.
could it could go either way. They're pulled and then
Yeah.
they come back to
that's
the
kind of
light.
some of
and
the
they're-
thought of
it's a-
that the legends like Grey Jedi type stuff, Nate, isn't it? Kind
Yeah,
of
I've
like
heard there's a ton
Yeah.
of talks about that and
That's-
how George was pretty adamant
That
about
he
how
didn't like
there's-
it.
That,
Can't
that's
have it.
not
Yeah.
possible. But I mean, there's interviews with George. Not saying they wouldn't do that because I think that's a good idea. But
Well, in the
it doesn't go with the
George,
Duel of the
George's
Fates,
idea
bad
of
guys.
the dark side is that
once you get
it's
in.
a
you're
matter.
gone.
It's only a matter of time before it consumes you.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you can. There's ways to break out, but it is consuming. Fear leads to hate. Hate leads to anger. Anger leads to the dark
it's
side.
the One Ring.
exactly.
One
Yeah,
ring. Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
The,
So the idea of dabbling with it, I think,
what's
at least
interesting,
from what George said, is difficult.
what's interesting is so the Duel of the Fates script, the alternate episode 9 script that Colin Trevorrow had written and has now been leaked onto the internet, and I think I even sent you guys a link of it a while back of someone like made a comic version of it because it's actually out on the internet of the script. Is that you
read the comic thing?
Yeah, it took me a while, but
You
it's
showed me that.
great. Like meaning it's the comic is
I don't know
really
if I
is
saw
really
it.
well done. The script, there's a lot of it, and I've been hearing this too, and I really agree with it. There's a lot of it that I read, and I'm like, oh, I think I would have really liked that part. And then there's other things of it of like, ooh, I think that maybe completely goes against the the philosophy of the Jedi.
And
like
why
I
they
could
didn't do
see,
it.
and I could see them having problems with, but don't get me wrong. There's some stuff in there that's like, ooh, I might have liked that part a little bit better. I might have liked. I mean, they go to Coruscant. There's a big battle in Coruscant, and they go there, and there's a lot of stuff that happens. Rey ends up getting blinded, cutting saber like through
Rey?
her eyes. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that ends up happening.
Wow.
Luke ends up showing up as a Force ghost and catching Kylo's blade, which has a swing at him. He catches it as a Force ghost. There's this whole there's a bunch of stuff that happens. But one of the big things that was really controversial, and I completely understand why people had a problem with it, is that Rey ends up defeating maybe it was defeating Kylo or defeating Palpatine. Palpatine was part of this. Was by what they quoted as necessary rage, that she dabbled into the dark side to get the amount of rage she needed to use her anger to crush the darkness. And George had been like, that's actually just the dark side.
Yeah.
Like,
That's not the
that's-
message.
that's-
That's not
that
the
is the
message.
path.
he wants
that's
to
the
send.
exact thing that Luke was about to do and then
And
stops.
didn't.
And that's what Luke was going to do in The Last Jedi. That's what he was going to do in Return of the Jedi. And that if you went down that road, now you're undoing the lesson that we've been trying to teach from the beginning of all this, is that the reason Luke wins, we were talking about this a little bit precast, it was Luke's compassion
Yeah.
for his father into not give in to the temptations of, even though there were times that he tried to kill the Emperor and Vader stopped him, and then when it went too far and he was going to kill his father, I'll never turn to the dark side, and you failed, Your Highness.
Mhm.
He throws the saber down. That if they went down this road, then you're opening up doors, and also just what's the moral to the story of like, man, I can dabble in, and now what I do think is, we've talked about this before. I think the general idea there, if well crafted, could have been really good. As far as, I don't think there's necessarily ever a good thing as necessary rage. I think the fact that it's called rage kind of means it's uncontrollable. Like it's. Now, I do think that Jedi being in touch with their emotions and attachments at certain levels can be a good thing.
Yep.
And I think that the rigidity of the Jedi, we've talked about the hubris of the Jedi and their rigidity has led to certain things. We talk about things being black and white. Of that, because this, then this, you can't at all have these emotions because it will always lead to this.
Right.
Which the Old Republic is touching on too, or the High
Republic.
Republic.
High Republic is
touching on, too.
really touches on it a lot, which is really
like
good.
it.
Of them talking about like, well,
like it.
I don't
and
know.
them struggling with it.
Them struggling with the council.
Like,
of
why should I be struggling with this idea of mourning for my master?
My master
when
died, and I'm struggling with it,
I'm
and the
str-
council's telling me you shouldn't feel that.
you should feel
Right,
you
it
should
doesn't
be
make
okay.
sense.
They're in a they're one with the Force and all this stuff, but they're like, but
But like, they can be one with the Force, and
we
we still
still
mourn
failed.
them.
We still
Isn't that
failed
here?
her.
Right.
Yeah. So I think so. And this is not to bash, because if you guys, I'll resend it to you, because the Duel of Fate script there's a lot of it that I'm like, ooh, it's a different
Yeah,
movie. It's
that'd be
very
cool.
different. There's some stuff that's very similar, and then there's other stuff that's very different. That a lot of it, I'm like, ooh, that would be really cool. And then there's other things I'm like, but the parts I disagree with, I think are kind of big disagreements that would have caused just a big philosophical problem
Yeah.
for.
Clearly,
Talk about
doesn't know
not
Star
consistent.
Wars.
No,
Clearly hates Star Wars, probably.
for sure.
Right. I saw videos that
Hates it.
titled Ryan
Clearly
Johnson
does.
hates Star Wars.
Hate Star Wars.
Here's my 20-minute video of why Ryan Johnson
If anybody
was
hates Star
hired
Wars, they
intentionally
wouldn't
to
direct
destroy
Star
it.
Destroy it.
Yeah, okay.
He's a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
I think
Ryan Johnson is a Sith Lord.
He's a Sith Lord.
he is a
And then it cuts to
speciality.
Ryan going, "Ooh," this little giggle from a little documentary. I love
You
it.
know,
I want to go rewatch
Shakespeare.
that again.
If we think about Shakespeare,
Talk about a Sith Lord. No,
he is a Sith Lord. They're all moral. They're all moral plays,
yeah.
but they don't show us the happy ending. They show us what happens if you follow these things to their extent. One sin at the beginning, these flaws, the people, it drives people to a bad end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
designed to show you the danger. That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
Yeah.
So when you watch, you watch. I mean, even Romeo and Juliet.
Star Wars
the
does that to an
lies,
extent.
deception,
They just show the hope after.
Macbeth, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All of these are designed to show you that deception or whatever is the path to destruction. That's
Yeah.
the point. And they're showing you in a negative way how not to be.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see a Sith on their path to destruction. And the
like a
heartbreak.
Breaking Bad.
Exactly. The heartbreak that it causes.
Showing
it's a positive moral example of the heartbreak that it's caused.
that. Yeah.
And how the Sith is in turmoil, torture.
Not that
they
just
don't,
things just end up bad, but
they
they're
don't
just constantly,
know why they
constantly
can't.
yeah.
It's just like the scene when Anakin, what must I do? He's in,
yeah.
but doesn't want to be
Oh,
there.
It doesn't look like he's
he
enjoying
doesn't
it.
want that.
No.
It's the
I want
power of the
more.
dark side.
It feels like I've
like, I want more.
That's right. It's both.
But it
and
is
then
the
they go
what
to sleep
must
at
I-
night thinking, how did I get?
I
here?"
can
I
overthrow
do love
him.
that
I
scene.
can't get
but that-
out.
But that scene of him kneeling and what must I do? And I'll do whatever you ask. It's
Doesn't
like
want to
it
do
feels like
this.
because I just gave up my fate. Like I literally did this, and now I'm down, and now I have
he's
to live with
different.
this. And
He's not even the same person
No.
anymore.
Yeah.
We could tell that hopeful
Yeah.
side watching this path of destruction. That would be an interesting movie.
we should do.
Yeah.
We should
Yeah.
do a pod. We'll do a podcast episode soon.
Where we pitch our scripts.
Well, no, I'll resend the
great.
Duel of Fates. We'll all read it and we'll
Oh.
just discuss it on here because I know other people discussed this
That'd
a
be
while
great.
back when it
Yeah.
came out, but it is
Yeah.
entertaining. It's for sure. There's stuff in it I like.
I want to
There's
see
some
that
stuff
comic
that
too.
That'd be cool.
yeah. So we'll read. That's what I mean. I'll show you the because it
Yeah.
is a lot. Seeing it visually of
Yeah.
of what it would kind
Yeah.
of and again
Yeah.
it was someone's interpretation of it.
I
but
wonder if
everyone
is
has
it
said-
digital? I wonder if we could pull
The
it up
person
and
who
show
tweeted-
it on screen when we go over it.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
The person who
Let's just read through.
I read it because this was going around kind of recently, and the person who created the comic said that he shared it on Twitter, and Colin Trevorrow gave the thumbs up and said
Wow.
that he thought it was a good
wow.
liked it and said it
Wow.
was a good
He took
adaptation
it right
of,
from his
right from the script.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just made.
but I
wow.
like that because you always wonder I wonder if this how much of it was interpretation in this, and apparently Colin Trevorrow said
Got
he thought this was
Wow.
this guy
That's
nailed
awesome.
it pretty well.
That's awesome.
So that's it's also I've always been fascinated with while I don't always like thinking, oh, what if they would have done this differently? What if they would have done this? Because then you get down to that's not what they did.
That's not what they did.
But it is
Yeah.
fun to speculate and you see some of I always love thinking
Yeah.
reading some of we were talking about the script book you
It's
brought
like
in
Marvel
recently,
what ifs.
Uncle,
Like
of,
what if
Yeah.
this happened? Oh, that's
what
cool.
George initially had for some of the characters, and you're like, whoa! I
Wow.
would love to see that, but completely different movie.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Not even the same.
Yeah.
That's what he says. I wanted a blue house.
Yeah.
It could have been green. I wanted to paint my house blue.
That was it.
Yeah.
It's my choice.
I wanted blue milk.
I wanted blue milk.
We ended
Love
up
it.
getting green also.
We got green. That's not how the milk works.
What if they did a Star Wars what if?
So there's what if? Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't we do it? Did we do it?
I've seen a lot of fan. I've seen a lot of fan art and stuff
What if?
of people going around of what if, what if Anakin didn't turn, or
Oh.
what if after that fight of, between him and Obi-Wan, he realized he just realized kind of what was going on and turned away from the Emperor and went good, and shows kind of what a light side version of
Yeah.
Vader would look like, and
Wow.
him in white robes and not black. and
That's cool.
There's a lot of fan art.
We could do a Star Wars butterfly effect.
Oh yeah, the
What's
one
the
change.
smallest change we could make to the Star Wars movies to completely derail the story? All the way back to the beginning. Let's say
Well,
the
got it.
Jawas don't find 3PO.
I was gonna say,
They
what
only
if?
find R2. And 3PO dies, just is in the desert
That's it.
laying there.
I was gonna
What
say,
happens?
what
That's
if?
it.
What if Red didn't have a bad motivator? Look,
What if Red didn't have a bat? Right.
All of a sudden,
R2's still there. He gets back on the
stuck
Jawa
there
barge
forever.
and they're
There's no
gone.
help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
What
It's
happens?
just this fool of it's Red. Just he's blowing his gasket all the time. Maybe he does have bad motive error, but it doesn't hit until they get back to Owen and
Still
Bruce's
has a bad
house, and
motive error.
the
the smallest.
they're like,
Still
this is
has a
non-refundable. You can't exchange it. It was
What
great.
if?
I mean, you could do that with any.
Yeah, I mean, what if they never?
What if
trained him?
Qui-Gon? We said that before. If Qui-Gon survives,
What if he wins? Yeah.
What if
he
they
beats him?
never took him on? What if they never trained him? The council said no, and they said they like yeah.
And that was it.
That's it. He still comes. He goes off and becomes a Sith Lord.
what if Jar Jar had just died
They
in
didn't
that,
take
in
me
that
with
opening
this.
scene? But Jar Jar also helps
Jar
them
Jar
in the
didn't
battle.
give
He
away
helps
the
them
Republic.
while he's
That's right.
clumsy.
Pluses and negatives.
While he's clumsy, Jar Jar was successful in his
Battle of the
ground game, the
Gungans.
battle of the Gungans on the Gungans.
The
Gungans
Gungans.
and the
on,
robots.
yeah, the robots and the Gungans.
You know, as I'm thinking about it, a good filmmaker would say, "Well, yeah, every piece of this is leading us to the end. That's
yeah,
why they're
that's
in there.
why. That's
If
why
you take
can't pull a
any
piece of
piece
the
out,
puzzle.
it's going to fall apart.
Yeah,
That's
right.
kind of the idea.
That's why it's
There
in
is
there.
no smallest part because if it wasn't necessary,
It's not.
I
in
wouldn't
there.
have put
I
it in the
wouldn't put it
movie.
there. Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe the part on Jabba's palace. What would happen if on the remake or the special editions, if that creature comes out and doesn't grab that? What happens if that doesn't happen?
You know,
Nothing.
nothing. I think that doesn't change anything. That's the butterfly that could have stayed
No
home from
effect
work that day. No
whatsoever.
effect.
Nothing.
The sail barge doesn't get enough lift because of that, and smashes into the rocks, and Leia dies. Chained above Jabba, she
That was
falls. He
all
falls
that-
on her, and she dies a horrible,
That was
suffocating death. I can't get any
In the
lift.
Sarlacc pit.
That was all because of that.
Couldn't get any lift. Now Jabba speaks basic.
Is there a less?
Left.
Is
Oh,
there a
man.
less aerodynamic?
Oh,
Because
no.
it's a ship that flies in the atmosphere.
Yeah,
Aerodynamics matter.
yeah.
The sail barge.
That's just.
It's like what? In space, it doesn't matter. It does matter
It does matter in the
in the
atmosphere.
atmosphere,
Yeah.
right?
Apparently
Speeder
not
makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah.
Snowspeeder makes sense. Sail barge? I don't
I
know.
also love too that we're dissecting the aerodynamics of the ship and not the giant mouth in the sand that's
Right.
that burps when it eats
Oh,
Boba Fett.
man.
I love it.
man.
The good old Sarlacc.
Sarlacc.
Oh, next one.
Oh, we got a next one.
There's a little fire in there, and I haven't picked it yet.
Oh,
Oh,
I think you're up here.
I can see him. I'll let you pick it. I don't want to.
Pick
There's
the
a
fire.
lot.
Pick the fire.
I'm shaking the helmet.
is there only one?
There's two, I
There's
think.
two in there. I see it. Pick the fire though.
Ooh, this is mine. Why I, not you guys, just me, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's how I wrote it.
Ooh.
He's going to go solo.
All right.
Why I love The Last Jedi.
Ooh.
Wow.
So this
could
is so
be-
you said that Uncle and I can't talk on this one. You said
Why
I
we-
wrote-
I didn't want to put we and speak for you.
what's
The
Uncle's?
Last Jedi got Luke right.
Oh. Okay. Well, this is a two.
Is that why you like it?
That's what I wrote.
This is a 2-for-1. So let's cover. Let's.
So that'll be what we
What
talk
time
about
is
next
it?
podcast.
All right.
Thanks for.
Buckle up.
All right.
That's what we'll be talking about next week. So if you come back,
You
you'll
come
get
back or not.
Or we just guaranteed a lot of people not coming back next
Yeah.
week.
Oh, no. Everybody loves a good fight.
They do
Oh
love
well,
a good
yeah,
fight.
good slap.
Yes.
Um,
Slap.
It's like a slap in the face.
why I wrote that specifically because I know we've talked about a lot of different things, and I wanted to mention why, as opposed to why maybe some people might look at things wrong or interpret things maybe one way or the other. I thought, put that aside. Why I just
Taking
instead
a
of trying to
positive.
prove something or this thing, just say why we, I guess, if you guys like it too, enjoy it. As opposed to being like, well, this is this and this. I don't know.
And I think this will lead into the uncle's
Some of that
thing as
stuff.
well. This will cover.
Yeah,
both
I
of
mean
them.
that is one of the
That's
things. Is
one of the
I
things.
don't mind what they did with Luke's character.
But explain yourself of why it was right.
why it was right.
That was mine.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yours is wild.
Oh yeah.
Why
so
I like
yours
it.
first. Yeah.
I mean, I'll just rattle off a couple things first, and then we can, I guess, dissect some of it. But one is I do think that Luke's character is actually consistent. I think it's consistent. I think the overall message of the movie is arguably the best message we've ever had in any Star Wars movie. Of just that fact that even a legend can be flawed and can make mistakes and can overcome them and can still be the hope that people need, can still provide good. Because if we don't have that, if the message instead is that you have to be perfect, you have to be a perfect Luke Skywalker or else everybody dies, basically, then what message does that leave to kids watching? That's not. So that is a big thing that I think is very on par with Star Wars. What Lucas, his vision for Star Wars, always said, keep it hopeful. To me, it's not very hopeful if you were watching a movie and you're like, well, I have to be like that? I'll never be like that. Because we're not. We're all, we all fail. So that is one big thing.
With you.
I think Luke's character, so part of that is Luke's character, I think, is consistent, which we'll get into more of that with your question.
Yeah.
There's things I didn't like, but
whoa,
hey,
why I love
this is
it.
why we
Read
like
that card
it.
again.
I like some of the new stuff we got.
Yeah.
I think Luke's character went out in a good way, and it was with a new ability we'd never seen before. I like that they teased the idea of the dyad, even though it was more gone into in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yep.
But Rian Johnson actually teased that with the connection between the two, and I remember thinking, whoa, we've never seen anything like this with Force ability where he reaches through and there's actually water and stuff on his glove, and you're like, well, how's this happen?
So cool.
So cool.
There's a lot of new stuff, but it still felt, it's still very Star Wars. We get the ancient Jedi, texts and things. I also think Yoda's line of failure is not only a great line, but instantly became arguably his most famous Star Wars line. I mean, I hear people quoting that all the time as Yoda's line, and that's from The Last Jedi.
It's one of my favorite moments in all of Star Wars.
Instantly became one of Yoda's, if not his most, recognizable quote now is that line.
Failure, folly.
So that's gone around everywhere, and people use that as life lesson.
That's right.
So I think there's just a lot of good messages and lessons that come from that movie.
I'm with you. The problems I have with that movie have nothing to do with Luke. If I'm going to pick some stuff, I don't love the death of Phasma. I don't love that.
I didn't like that. I was going to say, honestly,
I felt like a miss.
I would say
so
too.
Luke,
I agree. I think that the character of Phasma in general
missed a little bit.
I feel like they really built up Phasma pre-Episode 7.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Even some of the dialogue around Phasma. Come get a Chrome Dome, or I think you call it
giving up the code so quick.
Yeah,
I honestly wasn't a
like
big
that.
fan of Finn and Rose's entire storyline.
And I
still love the movie, but
I
like side part. Was
I
not
like
my
Phasma,
favorite.
and I like Gwendolyn Christie.
Yeah.
I felt like she was.
I thought the
I feel like she was
so much
underused.
more there.
Underused, yeah. So I mean, there's things that I would definitely have changed or done differently. I didn't like that the codes, they end up going through this whole thing about the master code breaker, and then that ends up becoming irrelevant, basically. Because they end up finding a different guy, and it didn't even work out. So
the guy they're in there.
Here's the thing, though.
Listen,
that is not amateur. That is not an amateur move.
No.
Yeah.
That's a MacGuffin. That's a Hitchcock thing.
Totally.
This goes back to classic cinema.
Yep.
That is.
It's what drives us forward. It makes the story happen. And the journey is the point.
Right.
That's what we're getting
exactly.
at.
Right.
The journey
it's a lot more
it's
important.
a donut hole
Right.
inside a donut hole.
And
It's not the thing. It's the thing in the thing.
Yeah.
So
and you
we
see that
feel like
character
we've been
development
tricked.
with
But
Finn and Rose looking out at
that's life,
the
man.
horses getting whipped, or not the horses, but
Right.
those horse-like things. So there's a bigger picture and the reason
fathiers.
for their story.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean that's probably wasn't my favorite.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things I like about the movie.
Are you talking about the fathiers?
Yeah. Rose's whole discussion.
Yeah, like that discussion.
Up until this point, all the destruction, good guys, bad guys, it's all big and epic.
Yeah.
And we forget about there are people at the bottom of this that are suffering.
Totally.
Rose brings it back like you're the good guys, they're the good guys. All these people are rich, and all the poor people are just suffering. In the middle of the
and
whole
I also
thing.
liked that they touched on, they used that as an
think it's
opportunity to show that there's not a lot of these people aren't picking sides.
No.
Like, look at this. They sold to the Empire. They also sold to you guys.
That's exactly
they're
right.
just
You're the
making a
good
living.
guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you're both living on the backs of these.
Exactly.
So I was
I
going to
love
say,
that.
So I did like the message there.
this
Yeah,
might.
yeah,
I was
that's
going to
cool.
say this
No, that's
might
cool.
go against the grain of some of the. While the Canto Bight stuff is not necessarily. It's probably one of my lesser parts of the movie that I enjoyed, but it wasn't because of the idea of it or the things that were going on.
Yeah.
I actually feel like, while I don't know if it would have worked with the particular pacing of this movie, spending more time there would have even worked really well. Because I like the ideas.
Probably, yeah.
Now, I don't mean like we just need a longer like chase with the father years and all that stuff. I think that was fine, but the actual, I loved, like we were talking about, the reveals there of, we don't really think about the people that are, we think about the people that are actually fighting the battle. We don't think about the people who are living their lives and caught in between it.
And trying to still make a living.
Or the people who are profiting from it. Which are, we look at, I love the look at these, or I love the.
Yeah, they love the war because they're just selling to both sides.
I love the look of.
And that's true of all of them.
I love the look of the resistance is in dire straits. They are on their last limb. The spark is almost out.
Yeah.
The First Order is breathing down their necks, and they step into a casino where these people feel like they don't have a care in the world. And they're, my darling, and it has the blows on the dice, and they're living lavishly, and they've won all this. And they talk about, well, what do you think they get all the money? They bet on the war. That's right. They're the ones supplying the weapons. They're the ones they're profiting off of this. And just like, and that's classic Lucas themes of the greed and like, Lucas is huge on like just distrusting institutions and all of these different things, or like of big institutions not having your best interest as the person, as the little man at heart, that there's this big machine always that's kind of doing that. There's a greed involved in a lot of that stuff. Yeah. And that goes back to just, some of Lucas's political views with growing up with the Vietnam War and all this stuff that was going on. This stuff is
very
not
anti-establishment. That's
Lucas from the very beginning. And I think that the stuff with the father years of like the little stable boys and like these kids that are like they're mistreated and all of this stuff. I love that Rian Johnson tied it back to Broom Kid is one of the stable boys, and he's one of the people who's already they're talking Luke Skywalker, and somehow word has gotten to them of what's happened, and they're daydreaming about getting out of there, and little do they know that their friend has some Force abilities. But I love the idea of what all of that represented, and I think that there's a lot of stuff there that's both consistent and also new of we haven't really seen that side of it, like that I really like. There's a lot of stuff I can keep going with The Last Jedi. I really like. Talked about I love
the parallels.
A lot of parallels, while also I think we'll talk about some of the things that I like and some of the things that I love the idea of. Like even the things I disliked, I really liked the idea behind it, and then there was maybe just a little execution of like, that line delivery wasn't my favorite, or that comedy beat didn't necessarily hit for me. I do think some people have a problem with the way that Mark Hamill, the way Luke flippantly kind of throws the lightsaber. I do think it comes off a little bit comedically, and I don't think Rian Johnson meant it that way. I think that if Luke had tossed the saber a different way, a little bit more of like they hand him the saber and there's all this build up, and he just kind of throws it in the way he does in Return of the Jedi, just even like at the feet and walks away. I think that comes off a little bit different than the over the shoulders. Like it was almost a little slapsticky, and I don't think Rian Johnson necessarily meant it that way. I think it comes off that way a little bit in the movie.
Like
that it was like it almost was like you're unsure of like, should I laugh at that, or should I? Is it sad that he doesn't want it? Like it's supposed to be shocking because it's all the build up with the John Williams
but
music.
Because it was like that,
but because it's just a quick like and throw. I bet even Rian Johnson like went through probably different ways of how he should do it and how he should do it. So that's not necessarily my favorite, but I do love the idea of him not wanting. Like that's an example of I love the idea of him throwing the saber, because why would he take the saber after what he's just gone through? He's working through this trauma. He thinks that the Jedi have to end because he thinks this is an endless cycle. I've already lived through this. I see the same patterns, and I've seen this. He talks about the raw strength.
And whose saber is it? Vader, Anakin, and all he's thinking is, I just
it represents everything that
Kylo.
I'm trying to get away from.
Yeah.
It represents everything that
I just
he's
feel
like,
Kylo. Why do I want this saber?
Yeah.
We talk about the big.
This is an example, and which I think maybe disappointment, sadness, anger would have been more likely than flippant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels like I don't care.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't
This
care.
feels like
This is like get this
I
away
don't
from
want
me.
any part of it.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
So that's something that I think that looking at it when I watch it, and again, I love watching the movie. It's a deep movie though. It's a different watch than putting on Rise of Skywalker, which I think is a little more action adventure-y for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Feels a little more like in the
7
line
too.
of like Solo. Yeah, 7 too.
Right.
But I love the ideas that Ryan's I just think it's the deepest. It might be the deepest Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I think that it is so deep. I think that the themes and what Ryan is saying, what Star Wars is promoting in it. Other people have said this before, so this is not me making up this idea about it. I can't remember which reviewer. I think it was maybe from the Hollywood Reporter, like a few years ago, was giving a positive review of The Last Jedi and was talking about Star Wars. The Last Jedi is the first Star Wars movie not just about growing up but growing old, and that it was talking about a different side of. We see Obi-Wan, but we don't see anything about Obi-Wan talking about other than I'm too old for this sort of thing. Like that's it.
Right.
We don't see him struggling with his age.
That's right.
We see Han and Leia struggling with what's going on in their relationship in Force Awakens,
Yeah.
and then Leia even more in Last Jedi.
Yeah.
With she's now trying to pass on she's trying to pass on the reins to Poe and to try to make him a leader. And like I'm getting too old for this thing. Luke, he's like, I've done all this. You now look at me as something he doubts himself, but also he thinks I've been built and put on this pedestal. Luke's like, I'm just a guy. He's like, how do I explain to this girl that I'm literally I'm a moisture farmer who then got dragged into this and I'm glad I did because we've done a lot of stuff. But also, you think I'm this godlike figure. I'm not. I've made mistakes that I don't even. He's ashamed to even tell her the truth of what happened. That's another thing I love about it. The like Rashomon storytelling of the 3 different versions of the exact same thing that happened.
Yes.
Ryan Johnson does, which is great. You get
one's point of view, another point of view, and then what actually happened.
You get Luke's watered down version.
Yeah.
You get Kylo's exaggerated version where it shows Luke with like the yellow eyes and like.
But done so in a way that to them that is what happened.
It's
right.
In
like,
each of their stories.
It wasn't watered down for him. Like that's actually what happened for him. But Kylo, looking at Kylo, you'd be like, well, yeah, that's what I think. Because
and
I
then
just saw you
get
your lightsaber. Of course you're going to kill me. And then it's
That's
like,
what that's for.
But I love that
perspective,
storytelling device of you get the one side of you, you get the other side of you, you get the truth. And you get the truth of why someone sees it this way. You understand why Luke would be afraid of seeing his nephew go down the Vader path and seeing what happened when Vader went down the Vader path and all the destruction and thinking
why he would be.
Why do I let this happen? And then even for the smallest, I think people forget too that Luke. When people criticize the movie, people are like, Luke would try to kill his own nephew. I'm like, you do remember that when Luke's describing this, he also says 5 seconds later that he was ashamed, like that he thought about doing this. He doesn't say like, oh, and I'd defend it and I'd kill him again if I had a chance. Luke says, I made a mistake. But people forget that, and like people
That's
are like,
the whole
why
point.
would Luke do that? Why are you defending? I'm like, I'm not defending Luke doing it. I'm defending that Luke recognized
that it's reasonable.
That he almost let his fear take over.
Yeah.
And it caused him to then think about it for a split second, which then scared his nephew because his nephew caught him at that second. And as he had already said, it passed it was like a fleeting shadow or whatever his words were. Like it passed like that, and then all of a sudden it was too late. I just like that. I think that that's real. I think that it's real that someone who would have gone through that stuff would face some fear. But then the importance of not letting that fear then dictate the way you're going to live your life and stop something before it happens versus reacting to something. You're doing your best to try to make something happen, but it's the whole, kill baby Hitler. If I murder an innocent child, I am now the murderer. Like it's a big philosophical debate of like, well, I do know what he's going to do. Maybe first I'd put him in a good school, and I'd try to
get him into art school.
Get him into art school. That's it. Get him into art school. That's all I wanted.
Butterfly effect, man.
That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could go on and on. The Yoda stuff with it's become one of my absolute top
It's one of my favorite moments.
moments in all of Star Wars is
Yoda and
Luke
Luke.
feeling like he failed. He's there. They're by the Force tree. Yoda sets on fire. They have their thing. But I love this. The young Skywalker.
Yeah.
And Master Yoda. He's talking to him. And it's,
Everybody's young to Yoda.
but just immediately though, he's back to being old. He's
Yeah.
back to being Empire Luke. Like he's young.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's talking to him about the Jedi text, and obviously you all know the film, but I love the talking about, we are what they grow beyond. He's talking about growing up of
Yeah.
like, listen, the kids get out of the house, they go off to college, they live their own lives, they get married or don't get married or whatever they do. They're not always going to be in the nest. They're eventually the little bird's got to fly off, and you do your best to hopefully you set them up as best as
Yeah.
you can, and you'll help them when you can, but also the burden's not on you for every mistake that they make after that. Is
Yeah.
you've done your best, and that's the true burden of all masters. Is they at some point you're no longer the master who's in their
I
ear
love
every day.
it. I love that.
I just love that stuff. I think that it's real world
Yeah.
inspirational, or it can be encouraging. I think when people get down on themselves and think of some of the things they're struggling with, whether it's family, work, whatever. But I also love that it's Yoda who is the most qualified to talk to him about this, because he's like, listen, what actually happened in real world as far as what we've seen last of Yoda in film was Yoda saying that he had failed. He had failed to kill Sidious, and he's going
into hiding.
He's going to hiding. Obviously, we got Return of the Jedi and all that, but as far as films that were released in release order, that was the last we'd seen him. And then he's the one talking about failure. He's like, yeah, because I failed. Guess what? I went and hid out. I did this. I went away from him. But he actually gives him encouragement about, you came to me. This is the same thing. Like, we also forget, too, that Luke goes in searching of Master Yoda, who's hiding out on some deserted planet. Now, Rey goes in search of Master Luke, who's done all this stuff, who's now old and is like,
neither one wanted to train him.
They want no part of it.
Yoda didn't want to train Luke. Luke didn't want to train Rey.
I just think there's so much that's consistent, and I love, and again, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Rian Johnson, I think what he does well in Last Jedi is he answers the biggest question. The biggest question to me set up in Force Awakens.
Where is Luke?
Not necessarily who's Rey's parents. Obviously, they hinted that. They set it up. They want you to question that. That's also a JJ tactic of going back even to Lost. JJ's like, sometimes I create questions just for the sake of you wondering about it, and maybe I'll answer it or not.
Right.
But so that's obviously a big question is who's Rey's parents. But the biggest question by far in Force Awakens, it starts Luke Skywalker has vanished. Even though Luke is barely in Force Awakens, the whole movie circles around where is Luke?
That's right.
The map to Luke, where is Luke? Why is Luke vanished?
And why
What
does he
has
not want to
happened?
be found?
Why does he not want to be back? Then Han Solo in the middle of the movie, Han Solo dies, and you're like, but Luke, why would Luke not show up and help him?
Right.
And then finally they even
have
tease
to
you a
answer
little
that.
bit. In the snow, it's the lightsaber starts shaking. You think it might be Luke, and it's Rey catching it, and then the Force theme, and you're like, is Luke even in this movie? Where is Luke? And so I think that's intentional. Multiple times you think this is why is Luke not there? And that's set up, and then Rian Johnson has to decide, So JJ set up, and I think really well, that something has happened. We know that obviously that we know that Kylo had flipped. We know a little bit of the pieces, but what is it that Luke is personally dealing with, and where is his mental state that he would allow his best friend? And I think what made it so great is
who we've seen show up to save him in the past.
Save him in the past.
Yeah.
That being cut off from the Force is the only way that he would have allowed, that he wouldn't have
felt it, or
that he wouldn't have gone to every single measure to try to be there for Han.
Yep.
If he thought he was.
if he knew that he was in danger.
So I think that, and then the reasoning of being on the island, he had to explain all that stuff, and that was all set up. People forget that was JJ who set that up and put that on there, and then it's like, here you go, Ryan. And Ryan's like, wow, well that's a doozy. How do I explain? How do I? Okay, well here's what I know about Luke. He would help if he could. He would help Han if he could, but how would he not know his Force abilities? How would he not know if Han's in danger? How would he not? unless he couldn't feel the Force, why would he not be? Because he's too far away? No, he's still. Does he willingly cut himself off from the Force? That's something we haven't dealt with a ton. And then, I could go on for hours on this. There's a lot I like there.
know.
I'll leave it
It's
at
a
that
great one.
until I think of something else.
I have a ton of thoughts.
I know.
Yeah.
I want to hear your question.
Ton of
or
thoughts
your,
for you.
Your thing.
So if we just start from that question of Luke, right? We know from Inquisitors
Mm-hmm.
what they've learned about.
Wait, do they have high heads or? Sorry.
I think they have
What
cone
we've
heads.
Because
learned-
what I've learned is that Inquisitors, whether they're a good character or not, I need to know the shape of their heads.
Right.
Sorry.
So the center of it is trying to find Skywalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now Ben Solo has his own path.
Yeah.
Killing his father is how he overcomes, how he takes that big step. But it's also the easiest way to draw out Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snoke doesn't care about Kylo. Doesn't
No.
care about.
No.
They want Skywalker.
Yeah.
Got to kill your father. It's the only way to do it. Killing Han Solo is the only way, maybe the only way, other than Leia. They can't get to her. Pulling them together, killing Solo, that brings Skywalker out of hiding. Now we can find him, right?
He says in The Last Jedi that when Rey shows up, he was like, he thought that if someone would come, he said Skywalker, I presumed, or but like,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
nonetheless, like this girl will do. He thought that he would drag him into it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that because Luke realized if something happens and I'm connected, my weakness is that I won't be able to resist. I'll have to come back. And I can't do that because I caused it. I actually put all of this in place when I raised up an army of people trained in the Force who now turned to the dark side,
Mm-hmm.
slaughtered the students I had, took the others, and now they've started their own thing.
Yeah.
So by separating himself, there's no way he can be brought back into it. And I think the Kenobi series is going to bear that out because Obi-Wan is going to be faced with the same choices. He's going to see the suffering around him, and by resisting, he's going to also be able to stay in hiding.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's gonna struggle. We talked a little bit about that.
He's going to struggle with
We're
it.
gonna see some of that struggle of like, am I gonna watch this happen? Like,
But also,
do I
will I
watch this happen,
cause?
but do I?
Yeah.
Will it also cause me to come out of hiding?
Will I
and
have
now
to-
Luke's in danger.
Will
and
I
the
call?
whole-
Will I cause more damage if I save this innocent person right now?
Yeah.
That's
because
right.
it draws all the eyes here and then more
That's
bloodshed. Yeah.
So I think the
Yeah.
wisdom, it's Luke's weakness. Because I see Luke as a Jedi who would sacrifice himself to go to his friend, to help his friends. But he knows that that's a weakness. So the only way is to cut himself off so he's can't be drawn back in. Cuts himself
yeah.
off, goes to this thing. That was the first thing. But from the character of Luke, I wrote down that why Rian Johnson got Luke right. And here's what I think. He got Luke right because Luke is consistently inconsistent.
That's true.
Luke is a character that is up and down, up
Yeah.
and down, up and down.
He's arguably one of, if not the most emotional Jedi we've
Most
seen.
emotional, rash decisions, quick decisions.
Doesn't matter.
Leads with
the
his
outcome.
heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, why, of all of the Jedi that we know, which one would be more likely to make a rash decision to pull a saber on his nephew? Obi-Wan would never do that.
No.
That's not. Obi-Wan is like dunk down the
Yeah.
line.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Luke has toyed with the dark side perhaps more than we see him
Force
using
choke,
force
yeah.
choke. We see him using all of this stuff.
In the same battle, he first tries to slash down the Emperor, and Vader blocks it, and then they fight, and then later he cuts off Vader's hand. He's about to do it again, and then he goes,
So he's almost there.
never.
Right. So
Although I did almost 5
So
seconds ago.
Luke
but
has
never.
always
I know.
Luke
Yeah.
has always been.
yeah.
There's a dark side element to that. The dark side comes for you. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's in moments of temptation and weakness and fear.
Yeah.
It was fear that caused him to brace his saber on.
Yeah.
Fear that he had created something that was now going to become another. We're going to go down this path again, and I'm causing it. That fear in that moment, he gave in and then realized, nope, he did the same thing he did with Vader. I'm not going to do this. I'm not doing this. That's not the way.
Yeah.
The only difference is in that moment, he was perceived wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that led to the downfall.
Yeah.
And I think that when you talk about going into hiding, I think Yoda's reason was lame. I think it was lame.
I agree.
Yeah.
Why?
Because Yoda, we talked about this.
you're
Yoda doesn't
standing
even
there.
get back in the game.
Doesn't even go back.
Like
Yeah.
Obi-Wan goes
tried
on.
to refuse even when Luke
Obi-Wan
showed
goes on a mission. Obi-Wan goes into hiding, but he's
Obi-Wan
protecting Luke.
he has an alternative
Right.
mission.
Yoda says, "Listen, I know I was the head of all of this.
And I'm
this
standing
is
here
out.
with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm out." And I love Yoda.
We could do something.
But Yoda literally just bows
Yoda's
out
like,
of the fight.
I've been doing this for 800 years, and this is where it's led me. I must
That's
be doing
right.
something wrong. I'm going into hiding.
And I got to tell you,
Just bow
Leia
out,
is standing toe-to-toe with Tarkin without a Jedi. Fighting the battle. And Yoda loses a fight with the Emperor and says, I'm out.
yeah,
That never sat well with me.
Yeah. No, I
No,
agree.
I'm setting this up for Luke.
yeah,
Obi-Wan has
Yeah.
a mission to go, but I didn't think going into hiding, you will, was great either. Now, he does have a mission to deliver the baby, to take care of, watch over Luke.
Yeah.
I get that.
But you could argue what's safer for Luke.
Yeah.
That you
Disappear
actually
with somebody
watch him,
else.
or do you just
Get away.
literally leave so that Luke never
And
knows
begin to
anything?
build the rebellion again. Because the
Yeah.
Empire is now just going to have free will.
Yeah.
I think of all of the places, all of the decisions of Jedi that have gone into hiding, Luke's is maybe the most reasonable because he had a direct hand in teaching someone the Force and helping them turn to the dark side
Yeah.
and raising up a mini army of Jedi that are now turned to the dark side. He did that by teaching. He taught it, and then they betrayed him. And he said, I'm never doing that again. I'm never teaching anyone again.
yeah.
The Jedi must end. And the
I'm sure
only
Obi-Wan
way,
felt some of that too.
He did.
Because look at Anakin. He's probably thought, I can never do this again.
That's right. The only way that Luke could prevent that from happening is if he says, I'm out. I have to get away to prevent this from ever happening
Yeah.
again. So him going to the island, I think, actually makes the most sense of all of them.
Yeah.
It's more likely than Yoda. Really, Yoda? Really? That makes a.
I feel like Yoda's is the least valid.
everybody's
Yeah.
comfortable with that. I don't get this.
Yoda's is the
That's
least
what I'm
valid
saying
for
is-
me.
So
People that
think
have a problem
Luke-
with the reasoning of Luke going there, but you don't have a problem with Yoda.
That's right.
Even Obi-Wan's is closer to Luke because he was directly Anakin's master, and seeing Anakin then become Vader and kill all these people, you're like, I'm responsible.
Mhm.
At least that's what he would think.
Right.
Even though, Anakin's obviously responsible. But Obi-Wan as the master would think I've taught this
Did I lead him to this point?
child, and now this is what happened because
Right.
of what I taught him.
And I think Obi-Wan is level-headed. Level-headed. Yoda, solid as a rock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Luke, up and down, man.
Up and down.
Up and down.
Oh, yeah.
For somebody to say, make a rash decision and leave the whole world behind and become a hermit, that's consistent with the Luke character.
Yeah.
Because he's up and down. He's totally up and down. He's not a steady path.
Yeah.
That's what makes him great, I think, in a lot
Yeah.
of ways.
That's also
I think
probably
that's
why
what
a lot
also
of people
makes-
relate to him, too.
I was gonna say the same thing.
That's right. He's
That's
more
what makes
like
him feel
we
real.
are. It's more like we are. It's
I
more
As soon as
human.
Vader mentions Leia, he gets mad
That's
and
right.
tries to kill him.
Which is the path to the dark side.
I don't
over
know
and
a ton
over
of-
and
Yeah.
over.
Gets
Talking about
angry.
relating to him.
Fear.
I don't know a ton of people in my personal life that I'm like, you know what? You remind me of Yoda. Like, there's not, I don't know any. I don't know
No.
many Yodas. I mean, I know
No.
some wise
No.
people that are pretty
You don't know any
level,
Yodas?
pretty level-headed,
Right,
but
right.
but most people do have waves of emotions. Of we're thinking clearly. Now I'm I'm
Yeah.
reacting. Now I'm acting out of emotion here. Now I'm acting out of fear here. Now I've realized though, and that's the difference between the Jedi and the Sith,
Mhm.
is that Luke acts out of emotion sometimes, but then recognizes that it's wrong.
He's always done that.
Yeah.
Where the Sith don't do that.
Yeah.
The Sith, Anakin, when he acted out of emotion, realized, oh, great. this like
It works.
initially it was like, oh, this worked. I can get what I want. I can
Right.
prevent this thing from happening. I can prevent Padme, and then once it happens, it's like, well, I've gone too far now. And I think we might get some of that, whether it's an Obi-Wan or some other storytelling of the conflicted heart of what he had post
Mhm.
all of that. But he's also gone so far and killed so many younglings that his heart is probably hardened. But Luke recognizes. He recognizes I made a mistake. And what do? I try to fix it. I make a mistake, try to fix it.
Yeah.
But then when it keeps leading into this pattern of, well, now the result of these things is piling up where, and talking about he talks about in The Last Jedi, that when he's talking about why he believes the Jedi must end, in the height of the Jedi, and maybe this is pre-High Republic, maybe that would have been the height of the Jedi, but in the modern height of the Jedi, they allowed Darth Sidious, one Sith, with the help of Dooku and Maul,
That's right,
to overthrow the whole thing.
The whole
thing.
galaxy.
And you're like, this is what we're supposed to be, guardians of peace. And
At our
at
best.
the height of our
That
power,
was
we
it.
couldn't defeat one. And then he's like, if we literally just wait it out and let it all end, while there's still wars, there's still stuff like that, the destruction and the mass destruction that has come at the hands of the Sith is just astronomical. And
it's because us Jedi are training.
It's
them.
Oppenheimer.
yeah, it is Oppenheimer. Which, by the way, Chris Nolan's doing an Oppenheimer movie.
Really?
It's his next movie. And
With,
he's cast
by the way,
Oh
loaded
my
cast.
goodness!
incredible cast.
Is it better for the world that I create a super weapon that can then be used for evil?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
Luke is saying. No. It's actually better that nobody has this. That nobody has this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to perpetuate this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pass on what
Yeah.
I know. So by going off, the only way is to shut himself off. That's the only way.
Yeah.
But more than that, we talked about this. How do we handle Luke at the end? How do we handle Luke facing Ben? Is he going to kill him? Is Ben going to kill him? What's the only way that Luke can die
Exactly.
and be Luke?
It's a huge
He
thing.
has
I
to
was
do
gonna
it.
get to
He
that.
has to sacrifice himself. Well, how does he sacrifice himself without making Ben Solo think that he actually won? Does he do an Obi-Wan? No, we can't copy Obi-Wan. You can't put your saber up and disappear. That doesn't work. It's it's ingenious
Yeah.
and
for
him
him to-
showing up with the blue saber.
for him to beat Kylo without beating Kylo.
What's more Jedi than
He
that?
defeated Ben with a mental game with the Force, but didn't kill him.
With still the
and
Jedi
died.
pacifist mentality.
and
too.
did it in a
Beautiful.
way that he's embracing now and remembering Anakin, how he was able to
all
redeem
there.
Vader. He's channeling that, and he's
It's
remembering
beautiful.
how he was able to redeem Vader when no one said he could.
That's right.
And he's going in to sacrifice himself in front of Kylo with the same
Without
saber
killing him.
without killing him because he's holding. He didn't show up with his green one
Right.
as a ghost. He
Right.
didn't actually have the
taunt
saber,
him.
but his force perception was with that saber, and he's channeling that moment of
This is one of-
I
recognizing
think
Vader.
it's a poignant, beautiful thing.
It's one of the
So
biggest. It's one of the biggest. I think positive home runs in the
It was
the
also
way
a big twist.
in
Not
the
a
way
twist,
Luke's-
but it's a
yeah.
big shock.
We'll get
when
into
that happens, I was
there,
like,
we'll get into the
what?
twists in the movie too.
in the way
Yeah.
in the
It's
way
the
that
most
Luke
twist-filled movie of all
in
of
the
them.
way that Luke's
Snoke?
arc. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In the way that Luke's arc is concluded. Again, I know we get Force Ghost briefly in Rise of Skywalker, but as far as living, breathing Luke that we know, like we talked about, all of these characters, especially we knew when the sequel trilogy was announced, it was in the early statements about the movie talking about how this was a passing of the guard.
We have to.
We
They're
have
all
to
gonna
pass.
die.
We're passing to older generation. This
Right.
is not. And they even told people kind of early. I think the original. I remember the original, not necessarily draft because they weren't just like publishing drafts of the film for people, but the original like synopsis was that the first movie would be primarily kind of big three oriented while introducing the new characters, and that it'd be second movie, new characters, third movie, new characters. This is their trilogy.
Yeah.
And that was initially how it was kind of set up. And we got a little bit of that because we got a lot of Han, some of Leia in the first one, and then obviously, then they kind of changed it to it was going to be
each character.
each character kind of got
Gets to
their
make
focus
take their exit. Yeah.
and take their exit. So we obviously had Han's death. We had, unfortunately, Carrie Fisher's real world
Yeah.
passing, but also in story with Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew, like, going into Last Jedi, I remember going into Last Jedi going, I'm really worried Luke's gonna die, and like wondering how I'm gonna feel about that because he is for all of his flaws and stuff, he is the character that I always looked up to as Salt related a lot to just like the inspirational like what's the adventure out there, what is
right.
And so I've always loved Luke Skywalker. He's arguably my favorite Star Wars character, and I love Mark Hamill. Going into it, and then when I'm watching the movie and stuff's happening, I do start getting this pit in my stomach of like,
There we go.
I'm afraid Luke's gonna die. What's gonna happen? And then when it happened, and we talked about this before, I think most of us upon seeing The Last Jedi was like blown away, taken back. I also need to wrestle with that. Like I need to sleep on it. It was not one.
What just
It's
happened?
a different feeling than walking out of Spider-Man No Way Home and going, oh my gosh, you got to go see this. It's blown up. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I
Right.
talked to Matt, was like, you got to see it. And I was like, I won't say
remember
anything.
our first
I won't say
reaction.
anything. I'm kind of like stunned, like
I'm
speechless.
still trying to process what I just watched.
And a lot of it was was it the last I see of Luke Skywalker? Not in a negative way of like, oh, was that it? But of like, am I okay with this? Am I going to accept this? How am I going to? But then I challenge anyone who thinks that it was a problem to kill off Luke or to, again, one of the biggest things to think of is what's the alternative of, like we just talked about.
It's easy to say.
What
That's
I
a terrible
love-
idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great.
What's funny
so what's
is
plan B?
You do
Would
it.
you
I feel like
literally
my
like Luke
reaction-
like just giving a talk to someone, stabbed in the back, or like
Yeah.
he Luke at the height of his powers goes and fights Ben, and Ben beats him and kills him.
Yeah.
That's not
And we
gonna work.
all watch him die, and Hope dies with him, and
Yeah.
and Finn and Poe and everybody, and Leia's back there going, like, "Let's see," and she's watching him,
Right.
and Luke just gets killed, and she goes, "Oh crap!" and they just get out of there like
Right.
awful.
What do you do?
I
Seeing
think my
Luke go out
reaction
as
initially-
an inspiration and as a
Yeah.
as a symbol is the most doing it without actually legitimately having to raise a lightsaber
Yeah.
and actually fight anyone.
It's great.
Is like
And
the most
do what
Jedi
he joked
thing.
about
In a way.
of going
Most Jedi
out
thing
with a
possible.
laser sword.
I can go even farther on this. In a way, Luke's death in The Last Jedi explains Obi-Wan's death in A New Hope.
oh, yeah.
Because he didn't kill him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan faded away.
he fade
Yeah.
away.
It's the
Became
same
one with
thing.
the Force.
Because all the time I was like, well, he didn't kill him.
die.
No,
He just
But
disappeared.
they also never really addressed it either. They
and he
just,
sacrificed himself.
yeah,
Luke did the same thing
same thing.
in the moment.
For
yeah.
peace and purpose. Luke knew at that moment. This
What
is
we never
would-
saw though was that old Ben was actually still on Dagobah.
He's still there.
He's still on
that'd been
Tatooine.
awesome. Oh, that'd have been
He's on
great.
Tatooine. Him confronting Vader.
wasn't even
was
there.
Not even there. That's actually
Yes.
the only way to do it.
Can we talk about the twists in the movie?
Yes, let's do it.
Because we think, what are the twists in A New Hope? There's maybe a couple. Not really. We can go through all the movies. Episode. I mean,
Twist.
Empire
maybe
is-
a surprise. Maybe Han. You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow it. Like that. You didn't know he was.
That's a
coming
nice
back.
twist.
It's a nice little
That's
twist.
a
You
great
thought he
twist.
was leaving.
episode 5, of course, we got I'm
Yeah.
Father. But
the twist.
yeah, but then the whole premise of the movie is a twist. The whole title.
Yeah.
The title of the movie is a twist. The Last Jedi.
Every trailer was
It's
a
not.
twist.
Yeah,
Every
it's true.
It's not. It's
Because I'm thinking the whole
beautiful.
time I'm like, oh, Rey's the last one.
it was his. It was the title was a twist.
It was all to lead up to no, I'm not the last Jedi.
The opening scene was a twist.
The
The
crawl.
last
The
scene was
crawl
a twist.
mentions Luke Skywalker, comma the Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi.
So they say from the beginning. By the way, Luke's the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And
The scene with in the guard room with
Oh, yeah.
they're now together but they're not.
Snoke.
That's a twist. The death
that
of
was
Snoke.
one of
That's a twist.
I love that was
that
one of my
happened
favorite
in
things
theater.
about the movie was like Snoke dying.
There were so
I
many.
saw people that were pretty upset or like,
surprises.
what? They built this character. I'm like, they didn't build this character up at all. We had no
No.
idea about
Well,
him. And
this
the fact
is
that he
also-
died just shows you that this guy there's something bigger.
okay,
Right.
yeah. This is
That's right.
you're touching a nerve here with me that some people have talked
I'll
about
tickle
their
Oh.
don't tickle fingers. Some things about, I don't know what that was.
Dueling
Some
spooky
lightning.
some problems that people had early on, or some arguments people had, was like things that I'm like, I feel like you didn't watch the same movie as me. It was like, not that I'm saying that every single thing has to land with you the same way.
They didn't even get the information right.
Just the basic plot of what's going on.
Yeah, that's
of
what
like some people were saying, I heard this all over the place right after the movie initially came out, of people saying this Rian Johnson spitting in the face of George Lucas's original ideals, the Jedi, all of this stuff, talking about let the past die, kill if you have to. That Rian Johnson's literally saying that forget all of the old stuff. This is a new thing. Forget all that. And
people saying forget all the old stuff. Disney wants to forget about all that and move on. Just only care about Disney's projects. I go.
That's the
So
dumbest
you
thing
guys
I've
are
ever heard.
reading into this.
I
way
also
too
no,
much.
but here's
Yeah,
the
really.
simple thing. They're like, yeah, JJ makes this whole thing. He's got this cool outfit. Even that he takes off the helmet, smashes the helmet. Everything is just forget everything we knew that was set up. And I said, you do realize every single thing you just quoted was not Rian Johnson. That's the villains in the movie,
right.
who are proven wrong.
Who
Did you watch the
showed
end?
it's not right.
Did you watch the end of the movie? Luke says
Yeah.
the Jedi need to end. How does Luke then finish at the very end? Luke says,
I was
the
wrong.
Jedi are reborn today.
Right.
I am not the last Jedi. Every single thing you said was wrong.
Mhm.
I'm like, watch the end of the movie before you criticize that. Talking about let the past die, that's Kylo being manipulative to Rey to try to get her
Nobody.
That's
Luke,
right.
Skywalker, let it kill it all if you have to. Come with me. And he's
Cool.
doing this whole thing.
Yeah.
You want to know the truth about your
Trying to-
parents?
He's trying to get her
They come from
on
nothing.
his
They're nothing.
side.
We're
He's
dump
he's being manipulative.
Right.
And he's saying that, and that's not Rian Johnson going, this is the thesis for the movie, so this is what you should do. That's not how Rian Johnson talks, but that's not what
Wow.
he's saying.
Which
He's
is
watching.
He's also not saying the whole thing about Snoke is now making fun. Snoke, who is an abusive leader to Kylo, take that ridiculous thing off. He's making fun of him like, you're a wannabe. You're not Vader.
Yeah.
He's taunting him. He breaks the mask. He does all this. This is not Rian Johnson saying, forget what JJ did. Forget what George did. This is a new thing, and this is what I believe. If you literally just watch the end of the movie, it's very clear what Rian Johnson believes. Jedi do not need to end. That they have made some mistakes, but at the core of what the Jedi stand for is why they need to continue. The mistakes along the way are things
And
you
that
learn
you'll
from.
continue to make mistakes. But
Continue to make mistakes.
That means you gotta keep going.
But you can't lose heart. Luke's
Pass
is,
on what you have
Yeah,
learned.
Luke
The
wanted
greatest
to be out of
teacher,
it, and then it's
failure is.
actually Luke's act of compassion and heroism for everyone else that saves them once again. He is the legend Luke Skywalker.
He
in that
is what they
moment.
needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not even there in the flesh. He is literally the symbol of Luke Skywalker is enough that I want all your weapons fired on that man, and just freaks out, and all of that stuff is
More.
showing what they think of
More.
Luke.
More.
Also, the
Mhm.
characters. So we get to Snoke and we get to Hux. I think
love
that
that Snoke
Snoke
died.
is. I would have argued that we don't need another emperor. The emperor is the emperor.
I actually thought it was weird that
we had another bad.
we had another guy that
Yeah.
was supposed to look like the Emperor, but
yeah,
not the
I
Emperor.
think that Ryan, with the help of JJ later, explained it perfectly. I was like, so this guy's just been out there all along.
I thought
and
he was a
like,
clone the whole time. I don't know
Yeah,
why anybody.
So I was like,
I mean, I would have.
It made sense.
Why else would a guy like that have force
Right.
abilities like that looks like that?
Mm-hmm.
so I thought
Right.
I thought Ryan killing him off, killing Snoke off in the second act too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was like, whoa, didn't see that coming. Love it,
Right.
because he's also showing he ain't no Palpatine. Palpatine would
Mhm.
never have let that happen.
No.
As much as, and again, we find out later that he's a wannabe Palpatine because of he's the clone and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
Because he's literally a wannabe Palpatine.
but in that character, if we're just judging it from that lens too, like as much as Kylo wants to be Vader, Snoke wants to be a Palpatine-like figure. He thinks he's so confident, even in that exact scene where he dies. He's so confident and cocky that he's strike down a true one. He's like saying the whole thing, and yet he's so
But he
blind
can
that he
feel it,
can't see
yeah.
what's in front of him. And Hux is treated like a buffoon, and I will stand by this because he is a buffoon. I think that's the point of Hux, is from the very
He's
beginning.
supposed to be.
He's anyone who thinks, and again, I do think there's some lines and some things that I think it's kind of goofy in Rise of Skywalker. He goes, I'm the spy. It's
Not
not
my
my
favorite.
delivery,
Not
or
my
it's not my
favorite.
favorite kind of line, but also it
That's
makes
the
sense that he
character.
would be a spy. And
Yeah.
he's a buffoon. I think that even in the beginning, he is a
Of course he would
want-to-be-
want to be a spy. He hates Kylo.
He's a wannabe dictator. And again, he's not the head, but the way that he talks as kind of the figurehead of the First Order, on this ground of which we stand, he's doing this whole over-the-top, dramatic, almost like
Which is
Hitler
in
talking
Resistance.
to all, and they all do
Great.
their like a little Heil Hitler type
That's
of
right.
thing, but it's double hand because First Order, it's a Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
But
Hail Hydra.
he is so over the top in Force Awakens.
Yes.
I think he just continues to reveal that, yeah, he's over the top in Force Awakens. He's over the top in 8, and he's over the top in 9. And I
That's
don't
the
think
guy.
that that's inconsistent. I think that that's the way that his
Right.
character is. He's no Tarkin. He's the younger generation that has like grown up with Tarkin was some person he's
Yeah.
heard about,
Right.
and he's evil and has done stuff to try to get ahead. But he's also not Empire till he dies. He is himself till he dies, which is why
achievement.
Kylo starts abusing him, and he's like, I don't care about the Resistance. And again, that's episode 9, but I don't care about the Resistance. I just want to see Kylo lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are some of the main characters that I know some people
We-
had
we also-
issues with.
Yeah, we talk about the story arc of Luke, the story arc of Kylo as Snoke being because Kylo has to somehow step into that lead Vader space
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
killing Snoke. That allows that to happen,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that
True.
it makes that
Become
possible
the supreme
because
leader.
he actually outsmarted him.
Yeah.
He didn't like outfight him.
And that Hux then
Which
comes
make-
in to challenge him.
Yeah,
He sees him laying there and he thinks about it, but then he doesn't.
That
Nope.
did fool me. The
Nope.
when they turned back to back,
yeah.
the fighting, I was in the theater
What a
and I
great
thought,
moment. This is it.
he's actually doing it.
I thought so too.
He's actually
I
doing
was like,
it.
oh
Which
my
is
gosh, this
so
is happening. This is
great.
actually
Flipped
happening
right
right
then.
now.
And then it's brilliant that
Immediately.
they can both have the same enemy and not be on the same team.
Yeah.
That-
I don't think any other
I think
I
it was
loved
brilliant.
it.
I don't think
I
any
loved
other
it.
movies get to that.
Where I was literally
Get
on
to
my seat
that
going like,
place.
Yeah.
oh, it's going, oh, it's here. No, it's not here.
He surprised us.
Also,
Yeah.
just the way that
So
scene
many
is, the
times.
choreography in that scene, the fighting is incredible.
That's amazing.
It's so awesome.
Throne room.
The black, or said the black, the
On
red.
fire.
Yeah, the red, and then the curtain comes down, it's on fire, and then after that,
Giant
quick,
magnifying glass.
we can still have time to stop the other ships, and then all of a sudden you just see Kylo kind of looking down at Snoke's dead body, and you're like,
Oh,
Uh-oh.
this is not,
He's not the same path.
it's not it.
Yeah,
But-
they're not
and I
working
just
together.
love that he can do that, and you can fight together in this, and it be completely for different reasons, and has arguably driven
you're
him
still
even.
holding on.
His acting in that's so good too.
Let go.
I would also
I love
argue
it.
that had The Last Jedi been released in 1980,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Mark Hamill, it's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I think the controversy about Mark disagreeing fueled the fire.
Yeah.
I think it fueled
Which
the
is
fire.
I think it
backtracked
did too.
since then.
That would not have happened
Yeah.
in 1980.
I
That
think he
would not
feels
have been
bad
an
about that
issue.
too. I've heard him backtrack a little bit since then.
He has.
Yeah, and it's nothing. But they ask you a question, and you don't want to
Yeah.
lie. But that wouldn't
It's also
you know,
interesting.
everybody's
that
saying
they-
that wouldn't have
Well,
happened.
also,
It's also
if you go
interesting that
back
they-
and look
that
at
they
it, I think people
intentionally-
also took what he said to an extreme.
That's right, and
That's another thing,
that
too.
happened.
It's
So
also-
part of him maybe
yeah.
feeling bad about that and feeling like the movie got a lot of hate and all this stuff got a lot of hate.
Yep.
Because of what maybe he said or whatever.
Mhm. But he didn't actually
Part
say
of
that.
that was also taken extremely
That's
like
right.
extremely
And
further than what he
anytime
said.
you post
Which is
online,
why he comes
Yep.
back and says,
That
"No, I
happened.
actually initially, yeah, but when after seeing the conclusion of this movie, I love this movie. I
Yeah.
loved what they did. I had to trust in the vision." And
Mhm.
and part of that comes from the documentary where he's like, I told Ryan, like, all right, but if this is bad, it's on you.
I was
Like,
gonna
so
say,
then people are
that's
like,
also-
"See? It's on Ryan.
That's also
Yeah,
interesting that they intentionally
right.
included that in the documentary. They didn't have to have that in
They
there.
did. They didn't.
Like they included him saying, "I told Ryan I fundamentally disagree with this character, but
yeah,
I don't own this character. I played the character. I don't own this character. This is Ryan's story. This is a different.
That's right.
This is we're moving this character into a new era, but I totally I'm on board with what he did, and like I'm do my absolute best, and I love what he's doing with it. But like I disagree when I first read it, I disagree with it.
I'm a huge fan.
great.
I
I
I
love
think they
Yeah.
gave him the hardest He was in the most difficult spot of anybody in any situation. George did all the prequels. It's his to rise or fall with, right?
Yeah.
Irvin Kershner did the Return of the Jedi, Empire, but
Empire.
he's right there with him.
Yeah.
It's not like
script.
all that stuff.
Was it Mark
Here's
Wan
the thing
did,
about Mark Hamill too. Is like, as an actor,
and then they give him say, now you do the middle chapter of the sequel. Write it in what?
Well, as tough as it is, like JJ's, they
How?
got to cast, they got to start off this new thing. JJ even says, like,
played it safe.
play it safe.
Which is
I
get
knew what
that.
people wanted,
Yeah.
which I think was both a positive. I know that when we watched it, first time we all
Like,
saw it,
oh,
we're
that's
like,
a
great.
new
We
hope.
had come off the prequels. This felt more like
a new
original. It felt like that, and it
It
was great.
did.
Then as that sat with people said, was that kind of just New Hope?
The same movie?
And JJ
Yes.
even said back then, like, that's why he took more shots with Episode 9. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go for it
I
now.
appreciate
But
that.
Ryan comes off of, okay, we're in a new era. We have our legacy characters. We already talked about. Biggest question, what the heck's going on with Luke?
Yeah.
We have these great characters that are set up for me. Ray,
Who's
Ray, Kylo, Finn, and Poe. And Ryan said in the documentary, like, when I'm writing characters, I write what is the biggest challenge that'll help them grow. What is the biggest thing? What would be challenging for them?
What are they trying to achieve?
What are they
do
trying
have
to
to
achieve?
overcome? Right.
We haven't even talked much about the journey of Ray so far in Episode 8. We talked a lot about Luke and in specific scenes and moments and twists. But the biggest thing, Ray is always, I'm waiting for my family. I'm waiting. I need someone to show me my place in all this.
I love what they did with
And
Ray too. Honestly,
me too.
I love that Ryan tells her,
you don't
Listen,
have to be someone.
you're
special.
not special because someone you're related to is special. You're special because of what you choose to do. And yes, in Star Wars, there are different factors of, like, yes, midichlorians can influence how force sensitive and certain force abilities. But as far as you being a hero,
So as far as you making your
Han
choices,
Solo is a hero, Leia's a hero, Luke's a hero. They're all very different. Han doesn't use the force; he's still a hero because of choosing to be heroic in the face of fear. That's what makes a hero. And I love the quoted. It's
confronting
from
fear.
Confronting Fear is the destiny of the Jedi.
It's a great quote.
And I don't even think it's even used in the film as much. I don't even know if it made the final cut or not, if it was just the trailer for Episode 9. But Rey finding out that, and Ryan deciding that the hardest thing for Rey to hear is that the people she's waiting for are not coming, which Maz already told her that.
It's worse than
But
that.
also, the people you're looking for to find your place in the galaxy, it's not because of who your parents are. Their parents are essentially nobodies. And again, JJ takes that and expands on it and gives some
again,
things.
people saying that like a bunch of stuff JJ did was like retconning Ryan Johnson.
And I disagree.
That is just taking what Ryan Johnson mentioned in that your parents, it doesn't matter who your parents are. They're nobody. You can still be who you don't have to come from parents that are special. And then JJ says,
took a
I'm going to
step
take
further.
it to even further. Your parents can actually be terrible.
Mhm.
Well, not the parents, but I guess your heritage or your
grandparents, yeah.
grandparents
Right.
can be the worst person in the galaxy. You can still make a decision to be
Yeah.
on the light side, be good.
It's about choices.
That's right.
And so I
it's not,
love
it's
Ryan.
just even
yeah.
taking that idea even further. It's just
I think
adding
that
onto it.
Ryan doing that, not only talk about inspirational, I think that's one of the most inspirational things done in Star Wars is Ryan deciding that. Because think of how many people, I know so many people, just like online, just listening to people talk about The Last Jedi and stuff that are like, oh, finding out Rey from nowhere, like, meant the world to me. I've seen like a bunch of men and women talking about the arc of Rey and how
if
it
it actually
brought them
stayed
to
that
tears.
way too, that would have been
It brought them to
fine, too.
tears hearing that because they felt like that gave them, that empowered them too, of like, listen, I can overcome my rough upbringing. I can overcome people not believing in me. I can overcome being abandoned. I am not special just because I'm related to someone who's special.
That's
and
right.
Ryan saying that and having her know that this is going to be a challenge because this is what she was looking for, is someone just to go, we're back. We're your family. And also, here's your name card. Just, you're royalty, just like us. You're great. And she'll feel better about herself. Instead, she got in the mirror cave with all the snaps, and that's so cool. But she just sees herself. And that's all you need to know is people you're looking for aren't coming. They're also not someone significant that's going to help you on this.
And what are you going to do
But
about
you
it?
are
you just-
still the one who can go face evil and
Exactly.
can go overcome it because of who you are and not because of anyone else. Just think that's I just again I think it's so deep when I compare even that to some of the other Star Wars movies that I'm like I don't.
I'm remembering that.
It's just,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love
I'm
it.
remembering also. George Lucas had 3 heroes. 3 heroes in the original, right?
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
heroes.
Yeah.
Basically 3 in the
Maybe
old
like
one.
Lando with a little.
You got Padme. You got Padme.
and
You got
yeah,
Anakin.
yeah.
You got Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Right? And you got Luke. You got Leia. You got Solo.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ryan Johnson had Finn, Poe, Rey, Luke, Leia,
Rose.
all of these
Han.
introduced.
Oh yeah, I guess Han wouldn't.
Well,
have been
all
right.
of these.
Han would've been
He's
right.
got to come up with 5. I mean, that's
Yeah.
3 is like great. They can work together, but you got to Chewie,
Chewie,
Yeah.
R2,
R2. You got all of. I mean, how do you
3PO?
tell the story with 6, 7 heroes? How do you do
Yeah.
that?
With
And-
new characters, but also respect the older ones.
We have to, and the story is centering around Rey and Luke. We got all this other stuff happening with. I mean,
And then on the other
Holdo,
side,
I mean,
you've-
like, so we've got all this whatever so many things going on.
and how many
there
villains are really in the old ones either?
right?
You're like, okay,
You
and
got Vader.
and you got Vader. Like
And
go to
5.
go to
the
New Hope.
Emperor's he's
Emperor's not
he's
even in
not
5.
even-
Go
really.
to go to A New Hope.
he's hardly.
You got Vader. You got Tarkin,
and
right?
Tarkin is a
and that's a
small-
small thing.
Yeah.
Vader,
Man,
for
it
this-
was a large
For
task.
this, it's like you got Kylo, you've got Hux, you've got
Snoke.
you've got
Snoke is still at the beginning.
DJ is
Yeah.
that who's middle? He's a new character, but you're like, is he good? Is he bad? We
Yeah.
gotta tell
Right,
his
right.
story. He's introducing a new character. The Benicio, you've got the
Yeah, the Benicio del Toro
Del Toro
character,
character. You've got
which was needed to
he
be
was-
that piece.
To be,
I
yeah.
love that.
I was just getting at the we talk about
Oh,
these.
Phasma?
Snoke,
We talk-
Phasma, yeah, that's what I was
Phasma.
trying to think of.
Ton
Snoke, Phasma.
We talk about these side missions. The only way to do it is Scooby Doo style. That's the only way.
yeah,
You got to split them up. You got to have
Oh,
a
yeah.
mission. They got to
Yeah,
have a
sure.
mission.
Sure.
Ray's on her thing. Kylo's doing his thing. You got
You have to.
Leia and Poe doing their thing. You got Rose and Finn doing their thing, and Poe. They're all kind of off. Leia's watching these guys. It's all kind of separate. There's no way that they can all be sitting in the same ship flying
Yeah.
through the galaxy. It doesn't
No.
work. So to do that and bring those together, man, it's a gargantuan task.
huge.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be perfect, but man, I felt, and that's why when I watched it, I was like, what would Rose do? I mean, man,
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
character,
Yeah,
and then they found a way. They
You're
were-
introduced to her at the beginning
Totally
when her
makes
sister
sense.
dies.
right.
I also love.
I love it.
Ryan's the one who says that he relates to Rose because he's like, I always wondered if I saw myself in Star Wars.
Right.
He's like, I would be. He said, I'm kind of the
Mhm.
nerd at the lunch table. He's like, I'm not the heroic Jedi out
Yeah.
in front, but I'm also not the general leader, take charge. But
but you are
you
gonna
can be a
stand in
hero. You
there.
can be a hero in your own way. Of
Right.
like, I'm not gonna run.
That still wants to do all good and do it the right
She
way.
puts
and do-
And-
Finn in his place for
and-
wanting to cut and run and just get out of there.
Yeah.
And he's like,
basically
she's like, no,
lays
yeah.
down what we are about. She
Yeah.
just explains the rebellion in that one phrase. The
Also,
whole thing, it's right there.
yeah. Also, in that right there of talking about, and again, not maybe my favorite thing of her and Finn, the little romance of like the little
Right.
kiss kind of felt a little bit
Yep.
out of nowhere. It felt like they
Yeah.
were pretty good friends, but that right there talks about the difference between like that's how we win.
That's how we win.
The not fighting what we hate but saving what we love. I believe is
Yeah.
the quote.
Yeah.
But that's not only a Jedi thing, but that's the rebellion.
Mhm.
We're not Jedi or knowledge and defense. We are peace and justice, knowledge and defense. We are not attacking. We're not the ones who are trying
Right.
to conquer new worlds. We're not the ones trying to oppress people. But if there's someone in need, there's a planet in need. The Jedi are going to try to come help, especially when there are more of them around. But
Yeah.
also our friends are in need. The compassion, him. It's the same thing that Leia was trying to teach Poe, of that that mission at the very beginning where he's like, we took down a dreadnought. She said there were,
At what
people would
cost?
die, but there were
Right.
no heroes on that mission.
Mhm.
There were fallen
Yeah.
soldiers, no heroes because or no leaders, no heroes. What'd she say?
No
She was-
leaders, maybe.
No leaders. She was talking about how
Yeah.
that was not being a lead. You were
Yeah.
sacrificing ourselves to take them out is not the way we win. It is protecting ourselves. It is.
Right.
It is not. We don't have a numbers advantage against them. Taking,
Yeah.
being like, well, we'll just go on these missions where a bunch of us are going to die, but we take out one ship. That's not going to do it. We need to protect each other and fight for us
Oh,
rather
you
than
made me
just
think of something,
attacking and
too.
doing all that. And that just is consistent, I think, with what
Yeah.
Rose is saying at the very end too.
I
To
think it
Finn,
was
who's
there-
gonna
yeah.
he's trying to fly right into into like the big. The
That's
big
right.
beam and
I was gonna say,
she
I
saves
think
We
him.
don't win that way.
another,
no,
another
And that's
reason
Ryan
why
bringing that
that's
in.
Ryan.
The Last Jedi. Another thing why I like it, if we're just touching on different things, why I like it is, I think it's one of the most cinematic too. The cinematography
Yeah.
is
The way it
so
looks.
good. The Holdo maneuver, say what you want about it, being
Right.
1 in a million chance, but the actual visuals from the graphic standpoint,
That's
of
right.
watching it.
Luke versus
so
the First
good.
Order.
The throne room scene, Luke versus the First Order.
The whole
all
planet
these, all
Crate.
these
I think
shots.
Crate was cool.
The
Solar
multiple
so
worlds
good.
locations
awesome.
felt like Empire with all the different locations. Yeah.
Yeah. I just
Even
thought,
the design of Canto Bight with all
Yes.
the extravagant
Yeah.
stuff and like
how
the
many
way
different
they're
character
able-
costumes were in.
with how
were
different.
on.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
on
way they're
Canto
able to come off as, even though these are different aliens and different species, the way they're able to portray them as rich snobs is like
so
perfect.
great.
They nail it, I think.
Then you have Mark Hamill collecting coins.
Yeah, he's the little
Oh.
That's
guy.
great. And Benicio del Toro, maybe the best
It's great.
side villain. Just I was like, man, I want him to come back. I want
I
to see
know.
that guy again.
It
I
would
think
say,
I think we're getting a standalone movie.
We
it
should.
would say you're wrong. Maybe.
Wrong.
Maybe.
I also love that too.
Maybe.
Like people are like,
That's
you know
all
what?
him. That's got to be all him.
Yeah, I love that. It's,
Maybe.
But I love even that line
Maybe.
of like, yeah,
Maybe.
I love that. Like that's just
For
his
right now,
character
though.
soul of like, yeah.
But
you know,
they
right now
also-
this seems like a
Good
good
to
business
have.
move. You're
also
making a
set
wrong
that up
choice.
by-
Yeah, maybe.
They also
be right.
set that up
Right.
by him telling them that look at this. Look at the ships. They sold to the First Order and they sold to you
It's
guys.
the same thing they were hearing on the planet.
They were setting it up the whole time. So he was just saying it just depends on what the deal is.
Mhm.
What's the better deal? And then his character goes on and double crosses him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Great.
just yeah.
I'm gonna go watch it again. But I love it. I think it actually over time it may stand out as not one that's looked down upon, but actually one that's lifted up. I think over time.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I actually think the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is going to shed more light
I agree.
on
I
Luke's
think so,
decision.
too.
It's going to make it look even better.
I think so too.
I think he's going to make Luke
Because we're gonna
I
get
saw
more
people
like
making
a hero.
videos.
Not less of a hero, but more of a hero.
I saw someone made a video, maybe it was a TikTok or something, and said, "It's like if you guys don't like the Last Jedi and you
You're
don't
gonna
like, then just he's like, I'm just warning you, just picture what the Kenobi show is gonna be like because we might see Obi-Wan have tough decisions where he lets people that are in trouble stay in trouble.
Not might. He's going to have to.
He's gonna
gonna
yeah
have to.
to
We
not
saw-
Right.
give up
we saw some
Luke
feet.
to not give up stuff. We're gonna see him making tough choices.
That's
We saw
right.
some
Remain a
dangling
hermit
legs.
or a
Well,
hermit.
Yoda
and
did
if-
too.
saw someone
He
hanging.
just left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he was just like, just think about the story, think about where he is. This is a possibility.
Yes.
So just prepare yourself that this could be similar to some of the
Mhm.
stuff we saw with Luke. Doesn't mean it will, but it's a possibility. It's kind of set up that some of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, we
could
kind of know
parallel.
we know he already did.
We know he heard
Obi-Wan was Leia was off fighting for the rebellion before Obi-Wan was even. He was just sitting there watching it happen. He
Yeah.
wasn't. Luke knew about the
Yeah,
rebellion of
true,
the Empire.
yeah.
You know the
Uh-huh.
rebellion with the Empire? Well, obviously Obi-Wan knew about it. He's right there. He just
Yeah.
didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Luke cut himself off from the Force and wasn't aware. Obi-Wan was watching the rebellion happen.
He felt it all. and
Didn't
thought,
do anything.
Still don't
I
care.
mean, I know it's like
Just kidding.
Leia's the young teenage girl, and they're face to face with Vader.
And Leia,
She calls out to Obi-Wan, like, "You got to come and help us."
Leia, from that perspective,
Took
is someone
that.
that you would look at and say, "Why are you getting involved? You've got everything
Yeah.
made for you. You're
That's
a
right.
princess who's from a rich planet that's about to get into. You've got everything's
Leia.
about to be handed to you, and you're
Leia
gonna
is-
go.
I know she's
rebel.
awesome.
against
she's
the
awesome.
Empire.
It's awesome, fighting for everybody.
Yeah.
I love it.
No.
So it could be the unveiling of the real Obi-Wan Kenobi. Might not be a pleasant look.
Yeah, it might be difficult.
This may be the humanizing part of him, where we see those. We saw some of that in Clone Wars, but with Satine and some other things. But there
Yeah.
may be some elements of this
I would
that
have
we
loved the order had you said the word.
I love it.
that are going to make him look more flawed. Which
It
I think
definitely-
I'm actually looking forward to.
Yeah.
At least, and seeing him struggle with those things. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the war is over. We lost.
We lost.
Like, it doesn't sound like the happy-go-lucky,
No.
optimistic Obi-Wan who's like, "Hey, we'll get back at it."
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, "Well, now I just gotta live with this failure."
I know we're all
Right.
tied up in this this arena about to get slaughtered, but Padme seems to be on top of things. I think that was a good time to make a joke.
Oh, on top of things.
I love it.
I don't think we'll be getting any of that.
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah. It'll be
Well, we got
interesting.
like 10 more. You want to keep going? just kidding.
I
Yeah,
love it.
there you
This
go.
I
been a
say we
good
take another episode and we talk about Last Jedi again.
Just
We will watch-
full
we'll-
deep dive last year.
We'll
We can
sit
do that.
down. We'll do
'Cause we haven't even
watch
We'll
it.
do the comic.
We haven't
thing
watched
too.
it together
Haven't
yet.
even- well, and we haven't even unpacked. Like
Huh?
The comic.
Comic, yeah.
We gotta
They
do
said
that, too.
comment. Sorry.
we can do that too.
The comic.
Yeah, we definitely
will do
will.
that too.
We'll definitely do the Duel of the Fates.
Oh, we're doing it now.
Star Wars guys.
Star Wars guys, Star Wars guys, Star Wars guys, Star Wars guys.
This is how we do our outro.
I love it.
Beautiful.
Nate. Where can
Where
they
can
find
they
us?
I had it. I was ready.
That was good.
That's it.
As always, you guys can find us on Instagram at Star Wars Guys Pod. Again, Instagram at Star Wars Guys Pod. Feel free to message us with any of these topics. This was something we had mentioned, maybe doing like something like this before, taking topics and answering them. I know we've done like fan requested topics in the past too, where we made those into episodes.
It'd be fun to
So-
do another one like this. This is
It'd
fun.
be fun,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you're
I like it.
live now or you're listening to this back, send us some questions. You can message us here or just comment on our YouTube stuff, or you can message us on Instagram with stuff you want us to cover. It could be something small, could be a certain moment, or it could be a character, our thoughts on something. Doesn't necessarily have to be a question maybe that you want an answer to, but just kind of something you would like us to discuss here on the channel and on the podcast. So thank you for tuning in. You can find us there on Instagram and again on all of our podcast platforms, those streaming platforms. Pretty much anything that's Spotify, Apple, any of those. So if you're listening to it back, see you there. Send us those questions. We look forward to having some more episodes revolved around your questions. So
Yeah.
we look forward to it, and as always, may the Force be with you.
What is he proposing?
What is he proposing?
What is he proposing?
Billions are built on hope.